Chapter 1 A Devil's Resurrection. Naruto sat at the edge of his bed, deep in thought. Over the course of the last 3 months, he was having the same dream repeatedly over the time, and it seemed to give some kind of message. The dream held 2 parts. The first he would see was the image of 3 different men that seemed to be connected somehow. He would also see multiple images of the people fighting one another as if they loved it. Then after the images were all said and done, he would see the same 3 men from the images that held very similar appearances would tell him to awaken, which he still didn't get what they meant by that. He just got home after he took care of his former sensei, though the results was him gaining his first kill when he unconsciously lost control of his emotions and killed the man in cold blood, but Iruka told him that it was okay since he was protecting him from a man that was a traitor to the village. He learned about 5 of the technique within the scroll that he felt he just had to learn. However, something else happened tonight as well. For some reason when he was hit with a shuriken, he did not feel the wound at all. It was as if it healed on its own without him even knowing it. But the one thing he knew that absolutely surprised him was when he saw Iruka take a hit. He felt truly pissed and lost it and just simply killed Mizuki without any remorse before he realized what he'd done, and yet he still felt no remorse. He sighed once more before he climbed back in his bed and went to sleep, or so he thought. He then found himself in a dark place that looked like a sewer with water that went below his knees. As he looked around in the darkness, with the only light shining through was the glow from the sun. He then looked around the area before he started to get a feeling that was calling him, as if he was attracted to it. Therefore, he walked down the dark area before he came across a corner that told him to stop. Down the corridor, he heard what sounded like growling. The blonde-haired boy awoke from his blackout and came back to his small apartment, or where he thought he was in. He looked around and noticed that he wasn't near the window, the bed, hell, not even Konoha. He saw that instead he was in a sewer of some sort that was dimly lit. He then heard the sound of growling. Seeing as how he didn't know where he was, he decided to follow it like anyone would. As he traveled, the growling became bigger and bigger until he came across a hallway where the sound was the loudest. He went down the hallway, seeing a light at the end. When he entered the room, he saw that he was now in a dark prison-like room with a huge cage in front of him. He then saw a huge pair of red eyes peek through the darkness, and Naruto saw that it was a giant fox. "Boy, come closer," said the giant fox. Naruto was about to listen until he heard another voice behind him. "I wouldn't listen to the giant fur ball if I were you, kid," said an unfamiliar voice. Naruto turned and saw that the person behind him. The first he saw was a man wearing a red trench coat and had a black shirt underneath the jacket and wore a pair of black pants and black steel-toed combat boots. He also saw that the man had a strange-looking sword that seemingly stuck to his back, which Naruto was wondering how he was doing that. It was some kind of broadsword, though he did not know for sure what type. It had a small hilt with a pointed tip, meaning that the sword could only be used single-handedly. The hilt led to a skull with pitch-black eye sockets, which sat atop bones similar to a person's rib cage. The guard, which looked like 2 small bones, ran along the flat side of the weapon along the 5 small ribs until it reached the beginning of the blade. The second man also had white hair, but his was slicked back and was spiky. He wore a blue trench that held some white vines along the jacket. He wore a black vest underneath it and black pants like the previous person. He had in his right hand another sword. This sword was an okatana that was sheathed in a black scabbard with a yellow tie hanging from the bottom of it. The wrapping around the hilt was white, though there was a straight black line going down from the cap to the tsuba, which, like the cap, was a bronze color. The last man once again looked like the previous 2 men. He wore a blue jacket and blue pants with a red hooded vest. Naruto noticed that what separated him from the other 2 was his right arm. His right was in all sense of the word demonic in structure. He saw that it looked like an armored hand that had some white cracks and white fingers on it. The man also had a blade on his back that was like the first person on for unknown reasons. The blade was a red single-sided sword with a staff pole for the handle. "Who are you guys?" Naruto asked. "Well, kid, my name is Dante, and these 2 here are my brothers Virgil and Nero, and the reason why we are here is because we need you," Dante said, with Naruto looking confused at that. "What do you mean?" Naruto asked with Virgil stepping up. What he is saying is that we are here because you are the only one that can help us in accomplishing our goal. You may not know this, but we figured out that you are our distant cousin through our father. Virgil said with Naruto still looking confused. However, before he could speak, Kyuubi beat him to it. Wait a minute, I recognize your sense now. You're the sons of Sparda. Kyuubi said with the three men looking at Kyuubi strangely. How do you know that demon? Nero spoke this time with Kyuubi laughing up a storm. I was once Sparda's devil arm along with the other 9 Bijou. He once fought the others and me before he betrayed Mundus and came to the human world. After he sealed his power away, he learned that my brethren and I were escaping, so he left to this world and split me and the other 9 into different areas. As far as I know, after that he left after siring a child with a human. Kyuubi stated with Naruto getting more confused at what was being said. Hold up, who the hell is Sparda and what the fuck does this have to do with me? Naruto asked with Kyuubi speaking again. Sparda was one of the strongest demons to ever live. He was a devil demon and he worked for the Dark Prince Mundus, who was trying to attack and conquer the human world. Sparda would later betray him by sealing the gate with both his blood and the blood of a human priestess along with something called the Perfect Amulet. To further ensure that the gate would not open again, he sealed his power with his sword called Force Edge and sealed it in the gate. He currently held me and the other Great 9 as devil arms, but he couldn't hold us completely since he sealed his power away. Therefore, he left his home and came here where the human were experimenting with using what you call chakra. He then released us in different areas, and while we were demons, we took some of his influence and didn't harm any humans. We later learned that Sparda sired another child, though we never met the kid. I guess you're that one's descendant. Kyuubi said with the other 3 nodding their heads confirming what he said was true. The fur ball is right, kid. You are the descendant of our 4th brother Kazama. We discovered that he was here in this part of the world, so we came here, but during the time, we were dead. So through the years, we waited through his descendants to see who would awaken his power so that we too can give him or her ours. That person appears to be you. Dante said with Naruto scratching his head as he absorbed all this information into his skull. Okay. In a way that is pretty cool. Everyone always called me a demon, so I think it's time I show them what one can do, said Naruto, grinning evilly at the thought of retaliating further against Konoha in his own unique way that would make those assholes on the council shit themselves. That would be kind of cool. Those fools in your village mistreat you and the Hokage lets them get away with it because of the fox here. Dad wouldn't have tolerated it and neither should you, so we're going to help train you with everything we know, and so will the fox, said Virgil, seeing the Kyuubi look at Virgil as if he had grown his own set of tails. Why should I, said Kyuubi, as helping humans was beneath his standing as a demon. Because, that way you can get some payback on the village. When Naruto uses that power to make them all miserable, it will be like you getting your revenge on his behalf. Besides, you owe Dad after you caused that incident a few hundred years back that nearly got him beaten up by a bunch of near-angry women and his wife, said Dante, making the Kyuubi let out a dark chuckle as he remembered that incident. Sparda was relaxing at a hot spring while having the Kyuubi's power sealed away in gauntlet form, but the fox had become bored and used its power to send a flash of fire to burn down the wall between the section of the hot spring for male and female occupants. With Sparda being the only one on the male side, the females that were on the other, who were wearing little to nothing, accused him of being a pervert and tried to attack him. Fortunately, Sparda still had some power left in him that was beyond human, and got away barely before the women could pound the crap out of him. Okay, you got me there. Fine, I'll help him, provided that down the road he kills a few of those more daring villagers. You know, the ones that try to beat you up on your birthday, or on any day they see fit that no one is around to protect you, said Kyuubi, as he didn't want his vessel to take hits anymore, and not hit back like some pacifist, thinking that people will learn their lesson later on. Screw later on, they needed to learn their lessons now. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. What does is that you are one of the last members of our clan, although our blood has diminished over the generation to the point where our demonic blood has become a unique form of human blood. Dante said with Naruto raising an eyebrow at that. What do you mean exactly? Naruto asked. I'm saying that you're our last descendant and we wish to change that. It's pretty funny how weak your devil blood is compared to ours, but I have a feeling we're about to change all that. Dante said with the others nodding their heads as well. Wait, if you're my ancestor, do you know who my parents are? He asked. The old man was not going to tell him, so he would have to ask the next best thing. Well, kid, we don't know who your parents are. We just know that you hold our blood. What we are planning to do is give you a rebirth of sorts. Dante said with Naruto looking a little sad. Rebirth? What do you mean by that exactly? Naruto asked with Virgil stepping up. He means that we're going to make your blood as strong as ours. Our power consists of many things, with the first being healing and regeneration. Our bodies are able to take stabs through limbs, organs, things that normal human beings would be permanently weakened from. We also have another ability that allows our bodies to transform into something called the Devil Trigger, but for Nero it's a lot different. Virgil said in a calm tone with Naruto looking a little confused at that. What do you mean, Virgil? Right, he said with the man nodding. Nero stood up and presented his strange right arm. His right arm is something that you'll learn down the line, but for now we must prepare you for the rebirth. Virgil said with Nero stepping forward towards the boy and presented his arm. This is, in a way, my Devil Trigger. Nero said with Naruto staring directly at the arm. It looked like it was covered by a red and black armor, with the hand and the sides of the armor being a glowing blue. It was clearly demonic and held an inner power to it that the blonde could not even begin to comprehend. As the half-demon waved his arm in the air, a slight astral arm followed it, both separate and connected to the half-demon's demonic arm. This, Nero said, brining his arm to his eye level, is called the Devil Bringer. It's as both a part of me and separate from me. The blonde looked at him strangely. You see, when I was a child I was possessed by a demon who wanted power and was willing to use me to get it. The people watching me at the time fought against the demon and were able to drive it back out of me with the help of my demonic blood. However, when the demon was removed, it was soon revealed that my arm had taken a bit of the demon's power and used it to turn my arm into what it is today. Now I can use this arm to pull my enemies or myself to me. It's really fun to use once you get used to it. Nero said with Naruto nodding before he smirked. Virgil then stepped forward presenting his sword to the blonde boy. From me you shall receive my most prized possession from my father. Virgil said presenting the Okatana. This is my weapon known only as Yamato. This is a sword my father wielded and used when he betrayed the demons to come into the human world. This sword contains my father's personal style called the Dark Slayer style. It's a style that allows you to move at super high speeds and use attacks with very high precision and timing. However, you would really need to develop more speed if you truly wish to use this style to the fullest. He said with Naruto frowning at that but agreed to it. Virgil then handed him the Yamato with Naruto feeling information storm through his mind, and like that, he knew the Dark Slayer style. After all that was said and done, Dante stepped forward with his sword. That was by far the coolest looking blade in Naruto's opinion, with how sick and demonic it looked. Well kid, it's time to present the main course, or in other words a family heirloom. He said presenting Naruto his broadsword. This is quite possibly my favorite weapon from my father called Rebellion. This thing has helped me slay many demons and has given me all my devil arms. Rebellion, while being a devil arm, doesn't have a true style other than one called Double Ganger and another called Quicksilver, but it does have much to give, like its ability to purify and destroy hell gates. It holds a lot of attacks that I think you will love once you try it. He said handing Naruto the Rebellion. When the blonde's hand touched the sword, he once again felt knowledge go through his mind, and like that he knew how to use it. In addition, another thing that felt good about holding the blade was that it allowed him to use it with his right hand alone. Okay, then let's do it. Naruto said with a huge smile on his face, with Dante and the other smirking at that. Very well, but for this to work completely it will require pain and lots of it. Nero said with a frown, but dismissed it when Naruto waved his arms. It doesn't matter. Just make me as strong as you can. Naruto said with the others nodding. Kit, before you do this I need to tell you something important. Kyuubi said with Naruto looking his way, but not before putting his new swords on his back, which he somehow learned to do from the blades themselves, with Rebellion on the left side of his shoulders and Red Queen on the right with Yamato held in his left hand. Okay Fox, shoot. Naruto said with Kyuubi looking him in the eye. I wish to also give you some gifts as well to help you out. Kyuubi said with Naruto raising an eyebrow with his three ancestors looking the fox's way to see what the fox demon was up to and, if pray tell, would these so-called gifts be? Virgil asked in his calm, cool tone that made Naruto look at this guy as if he was that robot guy from the Terminator movies that was just so cool. Look, I can tell that you don't trust me and I can understand that, but let me ask you this, what harm could I possibly do to the boy if his seal forbids me from harming him? He asked with the three half-devils simply shrugging their shoulders knowing what the demon said was true anyway. Just to let you know, I'm not going to try to kill you because that would never happen, as this seal would absorb my soul and kill me, far too fast, before I can even give you a scratch. Now what I wish to give you are several gifts, with the first being the ability to use me as a devil arm, since technically your Yondaime defeated me but you hold my soul so it still counts. You'll get a lot of uses from my soul as well as my ways of being a trickster due to your own devil power. Kyuubi said with Naruto looking confused at that devil power. I have my own devil power? He said, confused, with Dante smirking at the fox. Good call, Fox, as I was hoping he would get that from you, he said before standing in front of Naruto. Well kid, we wanted that to be a surprise when you got your first devil arm, but since the fox is allowing you to use him, then we will tell you now. We each have our own devil power, with Virgil and me having the ability to use devil arms and Nero using the devil bringer, but your power is called devil essence and that is a very good power. He said with Virgil speaking after him. What devil essence does is that it allows you to absorb the abilities of any demon you kill, such as their personality, physical preference, their natural power and much more. With that, along with the power to use devil arms, you'll gain much more use from the weapon. By the way, Virgil then looked Kyuubi's way. What is your natural power? Pure manipulation of the elements, but he will only gain control of his two strongest elements, which is fire and wind, but in time he would have full control over all the elements. Kyuubi said with Naruto looking giddy at the idea. Deal. But what else will I receive from you? Naruto asked with Kyuubi chuckling. You'll gain a lot of my abilities. First, you will gain my powers of regeneration, which combined with the devil power would make you virtually unbeatable in battle. You shall also gain some of my fox-like powers, such as our ability to use illusions, or what you humans refer to as genjutsu, and other things that I know you will like. You will also get the ability to summon my spirit and use me to assist in battle when you need it. In all actuality, you can use me like Nero did with his devil spirit. He said with Naruto thinking on it before he looked at the demon with eyes of determination. I'll take the deal. I guess I can get used to the idea of being a half-demon with the power I'll soon hold. Naruto said with the other three half-devils nodding before they placed their hands on the boy and then closed their eyes. Naruto, just to let you know, this will hurt, but the pain will wear off when you wake up. Dante said with Naruto nodding and closing his eyes as well. Kyuubi then took the time to let his chakra out and wrap itself around the boy. Then Dante, Nero, and Virgil's eyes snapped open, but they showed nothing but white. They then started to yell with the red chakra now blasting upwards and made Naruto black out from the pain. He did not wake up after that. Naruto awoke from his slumber with his body feeling very sore. He did not even know neither how long he slept nor what time it was, but there was one good thing that came out of it. He felt something that he never felt before: completion. He felt that now with the knowledge of who he truly is and what he was truly capable of. He liked that he got out of bed and was surprised to see how his feet touched the ground in an instant, but he was still too tired to notice. He got up, walked over to his bathroom, and did his morning routine before he saw his reflection in the mirror. Gone was his natural untamed spiky blonde hair, and in its place was a dark silvery white that was puffed out and trim and reached the nape of his neck. He also saw that his face was now completely void of any baby fat he held, and his face was now well chiseled. He also saw that whisker-like birthmarks were now so thin that you could barely see them unless you looked really close. He also saw a change in his eyes as he saw the pupil turned into a silt and the iris had a small red ring around it. He then looked more closely at his eyes and saw that they were still blue but were icy in color. However, he saw that his swords were not on his back, which confused him until he looked at his arms. On his left arm was a tattoo that completely covered his entire left arm. It was the image of Yamato on his left bicep with the image pale blue spiritual swords on his forearm. However, if one were to look closely at his wrist you would see the words tradition tattooed on it. On his right arm, it seemingly represented rebellion that looked great. On his right bicep, it looked like a huge skull that completely covered it. On his right forearm were 8 rows of what looked a person's ribcage. What completed the image was a broadsword in between the ribcage that pointed to another tattoo on his wrist that spelled resistance in bold letters. The former blonde was now beyond shocked, but something told him in his mind that this was a natural feeling as a member of the Sparda clan. Well, what the hell do I do now? I need to get stronger if I want to prove that I'm powerful. Naruto thought before he jumped when he heard a response. Well, you need to get some new cloths. Those bright kill me orange jumpsuits aren't going to cut it anymore. Kyuubi said. Naruto however regained his composure, remembering the night 2 days ago when he got his family heirlooms. Okay, I think you're right on the cloths, but I think I need a whole new change in both appearance and scenario. So I think I know the first location we go to, Naruto thought before he went to his closet and pulled out a pair of white shorts and a black t-shirt. The shorts were something he stole from a clothing store back when he was younger, but he learned that they were too big for him to wear. They still were, but he simply wore his headband like a belt in order to keep his pants from falling. When he also put on the black t-shirt, he was surprised at how tight it was, as if he was wearing second skin. He then left the house and walked through the streets that maimed and dubbed him the village pariah. As he walked through the street, he could not help but see all the attention on him, but for the first time they were not glares, but looks of curiosity. He let a small smile creep across his face as everyone finally notices him. It was something he dreamed of for so long, but for some reason it did not matter to him since he no longer gave a fuck about the villagers. This time he was in it for himself and himself alone. He walked straight to the Kage Tower without even bothering listening to the guards that told him to stop. Instead, he gave a simply middle finger before walking up to the Hokage's door, which currently hid a certain old man from view. Said old man was busy doing paperwork before he looked up to see a white-haired kid at the door of his office. Hello young man, may I help you with something? He asked with the boy smirking. You can, old man. I want to know who my parents are. Naruto said with Sarutobi's eyes widening. Naruto? Is that you? What happened to you? He asked, knowing that only Naruto would call him old. Naruto smirked as he closed the doors behind him and walked up to his desk. Well, old man, it happened like this. He then explained what happened 2 days ago. He explained about the meeting of his ancestors, him learning about his demon and the gifts he would receive, and the weapons he received as well as his bloodline. Sarutobi sat down shocked before he started to laugh to himself and look at the picture of the yondaime and could not but look at the picture with a humorous grin. Minato, you never cease to amaze me. Not even in the grave, he thought before he faced Naruto. Well, Naruto-kun, normally I wasn't supposed to do this until you were 14 or gain the rank of Chunin, but I think that would do more harm than good. He said, standing up and walking over to the pictures of the previous Hokages, but more specifically the fourth. He then removed the picture to reveal a safe. He then added in a combination, and like that the safe opened to reveal some scrolls. He took out 3 scrolls, each a different color, and handed them to Naruto. Those are from your father, Naruto. I would tell you who he was, but I think you should find out for yourself. Go ahead, read them. He said with Naruto nodding and opening the scroll and began reading the contents within it. To my son Naruto. If you are reading this, then I have long since fallen at the day of the Kyuubi no Kitsune attack, and hopefully you are one of these 3 things. You are of genin rank, Sarutobi is still alive, and you just gained knowledge of the Kyuubi no Kitsune within you. The second is that you are a Chunin, Sarutobi is hopefully still alive, but if not, you met your godfather and the Kyuubi no Kitsune is dead. Or the last one, you are 18, Sarutobi has long since passed on to the afterlife and you are Hokage, but my instincts were never wrong, so I think you're the earlier of the 3. Believe me, Naruto, I would have never considered giving you a hellish life if there was any alternative, but there wasn't, and I had no choice but to seal the Kyuubi no Kitsune in you. If you have not guessed it by now, then I guess I should tell you. My name is Namikaze Minato, but you may know me as the yondaime of Konoha. Now I am sure you hold some hatred for me for what I've done, but try to understand something. I did what I did because I knew that you would be the best one for the job. I knew that with our bloodline you could use the Kyuubi no Kitsune's power to become the greatest ninja and accomplish my dream of being surpassed by a worthy successor. I knew our bloodline would help you in turning Kyubi into a devil arm and use the power he used to try to destroy the village. Now let me explain our bloodline. We are of the Namikaze clan, or as our nickname states, the descendants of the Dark Knight. We each hold about 3 powers within our bloodline called Devil Arms, Devil Bringer, and my power Devil Essence. The most common part of our bloodline is the ability to use Devil Arms, which are weapons with demonic powers implanted into them. The Devil Bringer is the second part of our bloodline, as all we have to do is touch our first devil arm, which will send a surge of demonic energy into our arm and turns it into a demonic arm that allows us to pull enemies towards us or us towards them. Either way, the power kicks ass. The arm also multiplies our strength and can even manipulate time to a certain degree. Then last but not least, my personal favorite, Devil Essence, which is a rare power seen within our clan. What Devil Essence does is allows us to absorb the power of the demon we kill. Like say for example you kill a demon that holds the power over darkness, then Devil Essence will give the ability to use the darkness. And as a plus you get some of that demon's properties and could even reflect your appearance around them. There are endless possibilities with that power. Now on to other things such as the gifts. Sealed inside this scroll is a picture of your mother and me when we learned that she was pregnant with you. Also sealed in this scroll are my 2 personal weapons called Angel and Reaper. Along with that are the blueprints I have for another weapon, but I think you should name it once you finished it. The last thing sealed is a scroll containing my two personal jutsus, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin, though you may need training for that last technique. Live long my son. May you become a legend beyond my level, and maybe I will see you again someday. Signed Namikaze Minato. The yondaime Naruto soon found a huge smirk on his face, as he looked towards Sarutobi. Well old man, I think it's about time I make a change in scenery, he said with Sarutobi finding a smirk on his face as well. I agree. It's time for a change as well. Chapter 2 Change in the playing field. Naruto was in the forest of death, standing tall in nothing but a pair of baggy black pants and black steel-toed boots with a pair of black arm bracers on his arms with the design of 9 swirling foxtails on it, with a red trench coat hung on a tree branch. He was currently standing in front of 100 clones, each holding a copy of Rebellion and Yamato. He himself was holding the devil arm of the Kyubi no Kitsune before the army of clones. Kyubi's devil arm looked like a long black Nodaichi sword with the guard looking like a fox's head and the handle looking like large fox claws with a long black crack going down the middle. He was currently sparring against his clone to see how far he has progressed. The first thing he learned over the past month he was the styles of his ancestors, with the first being a style that would help him master all of his devil arms called the Sword Master style. Kyubi's devil arm worked with speed and fast strikes like the way a fox would fight in battle. When he first practiced with this sword, it gave him a sense of strength and determination when fighting. He also saw that when he summoned the devil arm, his eyes would reflect the devil's essence. Therefore, when he used Kyubi, his eyes would turn blood red with the silts growing larger. Once he got a good hand on the Sword Master style, he moved on to the next style called Gunslinger. The Gunslinger was a style that was hard to master, as you needed to use a rare weapon called a gun. He was told that guns were some of the most powerful weapons in existence, as they were able to fire projectiles at an unbelievable speed and could take out anything depending on the amount of power it held. He was also told that once he got his devil powers fully developed, he could transfer his power into the guns themselves and increase their lethalness. He was currently using his new weapons given to him by his father. They were 2 handguns called Angel and Reaper. Angel and Reaper were both M1911 handguns that were each completely different in appearance. Reaper was a jet black painted handgun with the image of a red female devil with a huge red bat-like wing on the side with the words Reaper etched in black. On the second gun, Angel was painted pearl white with the image of a blue female angel with a blue huge falcon wing that had the words Angel etched in white. Naruto enjoyed learning how to use these babies, but the material he needed for them to work no longer existed, as every gun that was made was destroyed during the First Great Shinobi War. He learned that the guns needed something called bullets and gunpowder, but nobody knew how to make that substance. The bullets weren't around either, so he had to personally ask the shop where he got his clothing, which inconveniently happened to sell weapons, and ask the man to make him the bullets while simultaneously asking the man to adjust his guns to use chakra instead of gunpowder. Okay Naruto, I want you to try it again. Let your instinct guide you in the way you aim the bullet. Kyuubi said through their mental link with Naruto nodding. He closed his eyes and listened to his heartbeat. He then felt his adrenaline build up as well as his heartbeat going faster. Then before anyone could say a word, the white-haired boy took a grasp on Reaper and swung his arm in a wide arc before firing the weapon, letting the thunderclap be heard throughout the forest. The bullet left the gun, heading straight for the tree in front of Naruto before something strange happened. The bullet curved itself to the left and around the tree and hit the one behind the one he fired towards. Naruto stood amazed at that, as that was something he has never seen before. You like that, kid? It is a skill that I picked up during my time with Sparda, but it's still more fun to slash at your enemies than shoot them. What you do is allow your adrenaline to speed up your heartbeat so that your eyes can see things more clearly. With a few more days of straight training, with a couple hundred clones, you should be able to do this without even trying. Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding. He got used to the idea of him learning from the strongest of the 9, since after all they had to depend on the other to survive. After his true bloodline was activated by his ancestors, his power was by far stronger than ever after he destroyed his accursed orange jumpsuit and moved out of his dinky-dink apartment. He was very happy in his little crib in the upper district of the village, and the best part was that it was all his. However, his thoughts were soon interrupted when he looked at his watch and saw that it was time to make his return to the academy. He truly wanted this day to come very quickly, as he wanted to see the look on the other Genin's faces at his new look. Therefore, with that thought in mind, he dispelled all of his clones and received the information that they have gathered during their life. After that he simply put on his jacket, but left it open as well as rolling up the sleeves to show off his tattoos. He knew the ladies liked that. As he walked through the streets of Konoha, he got looks of surprise, curiosity, and lust. They were all drooling at the sight of his chest, but he figured it was probably because of his new tattoo on his right pec. It appeared the every devil arm Naruto gained, a new tattoo would appear somewhere on his body. The newest tattoo looked like a fox with burning red eyes and 9 tails growling. This one symbolized the Kyuubi to the fullest, and he had to say that he liked it the most. He continued walking through the streets until he pulled out Angel and held it behind his back. I know you're there, Konohamaru-kun. So get your ass out here, Naruto said, hearing a kid groan. He then turned to see the appearance of a little kid that looked like he was 8 years old, wearing a yellow t-shirt and light blue pants with an orange scarf tied around his neck. Naruto also saw that the boy had a pair of goggles strapped to his forehead. The same pair of goggles he once wore before he became a Genin. You're no fun, boss. You're supposed to be my rival, yet every chance I get to beat you, you're one step ahead, he said with Naruto rubbing his head, before he picked the boy up and carried him on his shoulders. Sorry little man, but I can't afford to let you get one over me at your age. Besides, I can't play today, I have to go to class, he said with the boy groaning again. But you promised you would. I told Moegi and Udon that you would play ninja with us, yet you still haven't come to play with us, he said with Naruto laughing to himself. Well, remember, I did promise you that I will try to become a jounin by the time you graduate, that way I could be your sensei along Moegi and Udon, he said with the boy smiling brightly. You promised Nisan, he said with Naruto smiling as well. Yep, was all he said. Iruka looked around the room and saw that everyone that passed the exam was here. He was pretty happy at the moment, seeing as how he got the 2 banshees, Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino, to shut their asses up. Every day, for the last year, those two had been fighting over the Uchiha clan heir, Uchiha Sasuke, due to a rumor about Ino liking Sasuke and Sakura later on liking the boy. The tension between the 2 girls built up so high, that it soon became the sword that would pierce their friendship, thus causing them to act like this. He was almost sure that the only reason Ino fights with Sakura constantly, is that the girl really broke her heart that day and she never got over it. Once he saw that everyone was silent, he was about to speak until the doors opened and in walked a white-haired boy. Everyone saw that the boy was well over 5 feet tall with short white hair that looked more like a mop and deep blue eyes. The girls were actually staring at his open jacket to show off his shirtless chest and his chain around his neck that looked to have a ruby on it. Everyone was wondering who the boy was, but Iruka knew who it was hands down, due to the whisker-like marks on his face. Marks that only belonged to one person and one person alone. "Hello Naruto, it's good to see you're back, now take a seat," he said, with everyone thinking that's Naruto, with their heads in the direction of the former blonde. Naruto simply had a smirk on his face as he waved at Iruka. "Sorry Scarface, I've been busy, but we'll talk later," Naruto said, which made everyone look at Iruka, just to see what he would do about being called Scarface. To their shock, he just waved the boy off as if it was no big deal. Meanwhile Naruto took a seat next to Hinata, who was blushing deeply but also heard the sounds of other girls talking about the boy, and some were discussing ways to get him alone with them. She could not help but get angry at the girls for just now seeing Naruto for the handsome boy he is. She saw him first, so if anyone would get the boy alone with them, it was going to be her and her alone. Congratulations to all of you. You all have managed to make it this far, but the road ahead of you will only get harder. You are now Genin, the lowest of the low, and as such adults. I am proud of you all for making it this far and wish you luck on the journey ahead of you. If you remember nothing else, remember this: you now represent our village, the oldest and strongest of all the shinobi villages. Take pride in that. As Iruka finished his speech, several cheers sounded throughout the room. After they died down, however, Iruka was quick to speak up once more. Now then, as tradition goes, you have been divided into teams of 3 along with a jounin instructor. Team 1. From here, Naruto tuned the man out, listening only for the announcement of his own team. Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your jounin instructor is Hatake Kakashi. Damn, I'm stuck with a gay emo and his faithful bitch. This is bullshit, Naruto thought, seeing Sakura celebrate getting on the same time as her crush, while Ino looked pissed. Team 8, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata, and Inazuka Kiba. Your jounin instructor is Yuhi Kurenai. I wanted to be with Naruto-kun, not some arrogant neuter dog, Hinata thought, seeing Kiba howl at getting with Hinata while Shino slapped his head in annoyance. Team 9 is still in circulation from last year, so there won't be a new one. Team 10, Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akimichi Choji. Your jounin instructor is Sarutobi Asuma, Iruka said, seeing Ino slam her head on the desk at the fate she was given. Now then, we will have a 1-hour recess. After this you will return here as your jounin instructors come pick you up. Dismissed. With that, there was chaos as the group of preteens began chatting excitedly and left the room. 4 hours later found the members of Team 7 as the only people within the room. Everyone else had been picked up within the first 10 minutes. Sakura had spent the first hour pestering Sasuke, while said Uchiha ignored her very existence. Since then it had been quiet as the girl had begun glancing between Sasuke and the white-haired boy that was Naruto. Sasuke, however, had spent the entire time brooding and ignoring Sakura's existence while trying to discover what the secret was behind Naruto's new appearance and what secrets he had hidden. Naruto, however, had spent the time going over the things he'd been doing the last month. Naruto was now walking through an area called Training Area 44, or as some would call it, the Forest of Death. The place is a giant area that was filled with dangerous animals, poisonous plants and bugs. Also among those were several other things that would make a person with an iron stomach queasy. However, Naruto wasn't known as the boy with little fear, as there wasn't a damn thing he was afraid of. All his life, going through things that most people would not even dream of experiencing, at any age mind you. But for him, he got that out of the way, and thanks to that he drew more knowledge from it than what normal people would expect. About 2 weeks ago, he located this area after asking the Hokage where the best place to train would be. The Hokage gave him the list of areas he could go to, and as a result, he found the Forest of Death to be the best spot. And personally speaking, it was. The place was quiet, peaceful, and you could kill something every day. See perfect. The one thing Naruto enjoyed the most being here was one thing: snakes. Naruto liked the taste of them, and hunting them was just as fun. It turned out that snakes are quite possibly the best way to survive in the wild, because they were loaded with protein and vitamins that you would need to survive. But to get the snake you would first have to cut the head off, since if said snake you kill turned out to be poisonous then you would have to bury its head since the poison is trapped in its fangs, so you're still at risk of getting poisoned by it. Then just shed the skin and eat up, and as a plus you get a nice belt too. Nevertheless, for right now Naruto was just searching for a good area to get some good amount of training in before looking for a nice tree to camp in for the night, and then start all over again. He kept walking until he felt a pair of arms wrap themselves around his neck and a pair of breasts were pressed into his back, which made him blush deeply. He knew just exactly who this person was, and said person moved it head to his ear. You know Naruto-kun, you're not supposed to come into the forest of death without looking for me. That was the agreement we had. Anko said with a seductive voice that made Naruto blush even deeper. But Anko-chan, I tried looking for you but I couldn't find you. Besides, I was just to try out a new technique. He said with Anko letting him go so he can turn to face her smirking face. Naruto and Anko had been on good terms for quite a while now since she was Naruto's partner in his most exclusive pranks, such as one when both him and her broke into Uchiha Sasuke's house and spread glue all over his bathroom floor and on his furniture. They did about 30 of the countless number of pranks the boy pulled, but her personal favorite was when she helped Naruto dye the pink and blonde banshee's hair black with white words on the back of their heads saying "I like to get licked." It was a moment that Naruto would always treasure when the girls came to school the next day, completely unaware of what their hair looked like, and had to hear the boys and the girls laughing at them. Okay, I'll let it slide this one time since we still need to get some training done. Plus you promised that you were going to teach me some kenjutsu since you seem to be pretty good at it. Anko said with Naruto nodding. This was what they had in terms of a relationship, just strictly training and nothing more. Well, maybe not that much since they would hang out every occasionally, as if Naruto would treat her to dango and she would treat him to ramen. They would run each other ragged after that, but today they were just going to train like they always do. Naruto stood before Anko, holding his patented Yamato sword in his left hand with the blade still in it. Anko could be seen panting loudly while holding a katana of her own, that Naruto bought her, mind you. Naruto was teaching her the sword style Nero fought with when he was alive, but said style held no name, though Anko promised that she would give it one once she mastered it. Anko soon regained her breath and grasped her sword tightly before running at Naruto while holding the sword in both of her hands. Naruto blocked all her strikes with the scarab of his okatana and simply knocked her attempts to hit him away. Anko panted her foot on the ground before she spun and dragged her right foot on the ground and held the sword with her two hands and called out exceed. That was one of the moves that Naruto taught Anko. The way it worked was charging forward, with your right foot dragging on the ground and you held the sword in both hands in order to create a devastating attack. It would be more powerful if Anko could use it with fire, but sadly, the chemicals needed to cover the sword with flames has been lost for many centuries. Naruto was still trying to come up with the formula to help her make the attack better, but for right now this would have to do. So with that, he grasped the hilt of his sword and pulled it up to block the sword strike. Okay Anko-chan, that good for today. You're getting much better every day. He said, complimenting her on a job well done, as he called back his sword. The sword then broke into particles of purple and went into his arm, forming the tattoo. Anko panted as she put her sword away. How are you able to do it? You should as tired as me. Anko asked, panting, with Naruto shrugging his shoulders. I got great stamina, besides you will get the hang of it once you train harder. He said with Anko nodding before she walked up to him and hugged him from behind his back, making the boy feel her breast on his back. For some reason he just loved it. You know, we'll have to test that theory of your high amount of stamina, Naruto-kun. She said, though Naruto laughed to himself. Not yet Anko-chan, though don't think that I want to deny you. You know you're a sexy psycho. He said with her groaning. But I want to be your sexy psycho, and the only way I can do that is to test you, she said, sounding a little desperate, but Naruto just simply waved it off. Don't worry. When the time is right, I will give you the desire you want. Who knows, you might take my virginity. He said, not seeing the blush on her face. Now come on, I'll treat you to some dango. He said with the purple-haired woman grabbing his hand and pulling him out of the forest just to get her favorite food. You better hit that. That woman is practically throwing her pussy at you. Kyubi said. His demonic lust was practically calling for his vessel to bang that woman from sunup to sundown. I know Kyubi, but right now I got more on my mind than getting laid. I will have plenty of time to do that later on, but for now I just want to get this thing over with and start hunting demons. He thought, feeling his ancestors' blood spark with that thought. He heard many tales from Kyubi on how he learned of Dante capturing well over 20 devils and slaying thousands in his days. He would describe each one with the story of how he gained them and what it took to kill them. He was shaken from his thoughts as he noticed as the sounds of footsteps reached his ears. Sitting up, he looked over just in time to see the door slide open. As the door slid open, it revealed the form of a man wearing the uniform of a Konoha Jounin. Other than that, he wore a mask over the lower half of his face and had his headband slanted to cover one of his eyes. Finally, he had silver hair that stuck up at an odd angle. "My first impression of you guys is, you're boring," said the man, causing the genin to face plant. "Anyway, meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that said, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Without a word to his teammates, Naruto was up and moving out the door with both Sasuke and Sakura moving to catch up. By the time they arrived on the roof, Kakashi could be seen leaning on the railing with a small orange book in hand. Motioning for them to sit before him, the man snapped the book shut before pocketing it. "Okay, how about introductions? Names, likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, all that good stuff," the man said lazily. "Well, can you go first so we know how it's done?" asked Sakura. "And she's supposed to be the smart one." All three males let out 3 simultaneous sighs after that. "Okay then. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I have a few likes, the things I dislike, well, I have a few hobbies," finished the man, inwardly laughing at the reaction he received from the 3. "Alright, your turn, Pinky," said Kakashi, before pointing to Sakura. "My name is Haruno Sakura. I like. My hobbies are. And my dream for the future." "Damn fangirl," thought the males, all the males with heavy sighs. "And your dislikes?" asked Kakashi, though he didn't really care. "I ain't no pig," screamed the girl, causing everyone else to wince. "You're next, duckbutt," said Kakashi upon regaining his hearing and pointing at Sasuke. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I have no likes and many dislikes. I don't have a dream but an ambition, which is to revive my clan and to kill a certain man," said the King of Brood. "Just like I thought, an Avenger," thought Kakashi. "Alright, Whiskers, you're up. My name's Sparda Naruto. I have a few likes, such as training and pranks, along with a lot of dislikes, including the idiot villagers and a certain clan that I will keep nameless. I only want 2 things in life: the first, to make my ancestors proud, and the second, to not kill but utterly destroy a certain Uchiha who not only ruined my life but is responsible for the death of my father," finished the boy, making the group go wide-eyed before Sasuke turned on him with a heated glare. "You're not going to kill him, that right belongs to me," he said, only for Naruto to look him in the eye and make the boy recoil. Naruto's eyes looked cold beyond anything he has ever felt and was now wondering just what changed the boy this much. "This Uchiha is by far stronger than that of your brother. As for your brother, I have no beef with him, so he will be the only Uchiha I will spare my wrath," he said before he began to leak killing intent on Sasuke. That made the boy pale and sweat hard just from Naruto's glare alone. "However, I will only say this once. If you want to live, you had better make damn sure that you don't piss me off, because if you do, you'll meet mommy and daddy faster than they were killed. And that I promise you, little boy," Naruto said with his eyes blazing red. Sasuke then did something that he thought he would never do. He pissed his pants and was sure that he didn't even notice. Naruto and Kakashi did, and both shinobi were on the ground bawling their eyes out. That was the scary. Sakura looked livid at what Naruto did, and would have said something had the boy not turned his glare on her and made her shut up. Something defiantly did happen to the boy. But what caused that change was the question. "Okay," said Kakashi, aiming to put things back on track. He was far as shocked by what he just saw and would tell the Hokage later on, but for now he would keep it to himself. "You guys can meet me tomorrow morning at 0600 at Training Ground 7 for your genin exam," said Kakashi, only for the 3 to blink before turning to him. "Kakashi-sensei, we already took the genin exam," said Sakura. The reaction to this was Kakashi laughing. Seeing this, Sasuke narrowed his eyes while Naruto merely sighed. Finally, Kakashi regained enough of himself to speak. Sorry to tell you this, but that wasn't the real Genin exam. That was merely a test used to separate those with the potential to become a Genin from those who aren't ready. The true exam, however, is given by the various Jounin senseis, and has a 66.6% chance of failure. Explained the man, causing Sakura to pale. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, said Kakashi before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Seeing the man gone, Naruto stood to his feet and left without a word to prepare for the next day. As he prepared himself for the events that would take place tomorrow, he could not help but wonder what it had in store for him. As the saying goes, if tomorrow comes, the future will be open to you. Chapter 3 DAT. It was early in the morning and Naruto was still in bed. He then heard his alarm go off, but the second it started, Naruto destroyed it with Angel. Naruto sighed before he got up and walked over to take a shower in his new apartment that he bought a month ago. Sarutobi told him that they would have to hold back his inheritance until he was the proper age of 18, but he would have access to his clan accounts. He also told Naruto that his clan home needed to be refurbished and cleaned, since the house cleaners he hired stopped going there years ago. Therefore, in the meantime, this was home for Naruto. It was a nice 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment with a living room and an open kitchen. The living room only held 2 couches and a reclining chair along with a large television. His kitchen contained an electric stove and oven as well as one of those ice-dispensing refrigerators. On the side of the sink was a water dispenser, but this one was a newer type. Instead of using a bottle, like most would think, this one was hooked into the pipes, and purified the water that went through it. The best part, all of it worked perfectly. Of the 2 rooms, one of them acted as a bedroom and the other was a study. The study contained a desk and a very relaxing chair. Bookshelves lined the walls filled with books provided by the Sandame. His bedroom, however, held a nice king-sized bed and some new wardrobes in his closets. All of it provided by the Sandame, due to him wanting to repay Naruto for the mistake of not telling him of his heritage. Naruto liked his new apartment and was glad that nobody knew he lived there, since he wanted to keep this place nice and clean. He walked out of his shower with a towel wrapped around his waist and looked at the full-body mirror he had next to the door of said bathroom. Naruto looked himself over and couldn't help but smile at his new appearance. If it was not for the whisker-like marks on his cheeks, he was sure that he would not be recognizable one bit, which wasn't bad either. He saw that his body changed greatly, with Kyuubi burning all of the leftover baby fat and turning it to straight muscle. But what Naruto liked the most were his tattoos. He was sure that they made him look unique and exotic in the eyes of women around the village, and they gave him a more badass kinda look. He was sure that if he never met his ancestors, or the fox for that matter, he would still look like that pathetic child wearing that kill me orange jumpsuit and would be acting like a total idiot. But today he didn't feel like dressing up, so he just put on some black pants, ninja sandals, and a black mesh shirt with his headband tied around his waist like a belt. He looked over to his drawer and saw the case for his guns, so he wrapped that around himself and secured it and just put a black trench coat, with the sleeves ripped out, over it. He wanted to take it a little easy today. Before he left his house, he looked at his kitchen and heard his stomach growl loudly. He looked towards the refrigerator and once again heard his stomach growl. You know what? Fuck it. If I throw up, then that's all there is to it, but I'm hungry right now, Naruto said before running back to the kitchen and pulling the door open. It then revealed some leftover pizza boxes, bottles of sake, and an energy drink called Gatorade that originated in Mizunokuni. Naruto grabbed one of the boxes and began to eat the cold pizza. Once that box was done, he pulled the next one out and devoured that one. It would take a while for him to be done. During Naruto's walk, he noticed the hungry looks on the face of the female portion of the village, and was sure that had it not been for public laws on sexually explicit conduct, said women would ravish him. Anko told him that women always crave good-looking guys, but they would never truly be with one. The female mind is very complex and confusing, unlike guys, who just far too simple to get. The white-haired boy feared that the day would come when he would let his guard down and boom, he would be in a large sex orgy, with him being the only male among them. He continued walking until he saw that he was in his team training grounds and that said teammates were already there. He looked around and saw that teacher wasn't there, which told him he was going to be late again. I think Sensei does this all the time, as he was late yesterday. Well, I guess I don't have to wake up this early anymore, but I don't feel like talking to these two, so I think I'll just chill for a bit. He thought before changing his direction to the forest next to him and laid down in a tree and allowed his eyes to rest. He needed the extra sleep for today. It was several hours before the arrival of Hatake Kakashi. He walked casually towards the two and raised his hands, saying yo to both of the two genin, who got pissed immediately. Well, Sakura did. Sasuke was more on glaring at the masked man. Both you and Naruto are late, she yelled with Kakashi looking confused before he laughed at her words. Please Sakura, I'm not some low-rank academy student, he said, looking behind his back at the trees. Naruto, why don't you grace us all with your presence? He said. The two genins all turned their head to the location Kakashi was looking at but found no trace of their white-haired teammate. Sakura then looked at Kakashi in confusion. Kakashi-sensei, I don't think Naruto is here. Sasuke-kun and I have been here since 7 and neither one of us has seen him, she said, wondering how her sensei could make such a mistake in perception with him being a jounin and all. I've been here since 8, Pinky. You might have noticed if you weren't so concerned about Uchiha, Naruto said, with both of his teammates looking at his direction and saw leaning against a tree. Yo was all he said with a wave of his hands. Sasuke just looked shocked beyond words at seeing his teammates stand there as if he was a ghost. I didn't even see him appear. What type of power are you hiding, Naruto? He thought. Sakura, however, was quick to get over her shock, as said shock turned to anger as she spoke. Naruto, why are you late? She yelled, only to see Naruto picking his ears before he responded in a cool, calm tone. You'll wake the dead with your voice, Pinky. Anyway, I didn't wake up early enough to come here, so I slept in and woke up at 9. He said with Sakura growling, but Kakashi intervened anyway. Now that we're here, let's start this test. Kakashi walked over to a tree stump and put down a timer. He held out 2 silver bells before tying it to his waist. It is 10:30 right now. You guys have until 12 o'clock to get the bells from me. Come at me with the intention of killing me. Are you sure about that, sensei? Sakura had a little concern in her voice. She did not want to see her sensei badly beaten by her Sasuke-kun. Kakashi wonders if she was showing concern for him or concern that Sasuke was going to beat him badly. Don't worry about me, Sakura, just worry about yourselves. After all, you guys won't land a single scratch on me. I'm not a jounin for nothing, you know. Naruto let out a little laugh. Kakashi glanced at Naruto before flicking the bells. Sakura looked at the bells and saw only 2. Kakashi-sensei, why are there only 2 bells when there are 3 of us? I'm glad you asked, Sakura. You see, in this exam only 2 of you will pass and the ones that don't will go right back to the academy, he said with a nice smile. Sasuke and Sakura immediately held looks of determination on their face that said that they would get the bells, while Naruto simply yawned into his hand, thus catching the attention of everyone. Can we hurry this along? I don't want to waste another second here, Naruto said, with Sasuke and Sakura giving him looks of confusion. Okay then, everyone ready, set, begin, he said, with everyone vanishing. Kakashi surveyed the area and was impressed with the way the genin hid themselves. Not bad for some beginners, as they are doing quite a good job of hiding. Wait, I only sense 2, where's the other one? Kakashi asked in his head, only to feel a presence behind him. You know, sensei, it's not a good idea to let your guard down, not even for genin, said Naruto. He then raised his arm, which held a kunai, and sent it towards Kakashi's spine. Kakashi took the shot and was shocked that Naruto appeared behind him without any form of hint or sound to indicate his presence. It's as if he knows the silent kill technique from Kiri. I thought that this kid was the class dope. What's going on here? Kakashi asked himself before he turned into a log and reappeared on the other side of the clearing. What the hell is that idiot doing? Sasuke thought, though he was curious about how Naruto was able to appear behind the man without even hinting his presence. Sakura, however, was more concerned with finding Sasuke than watching her idiot teammate get his ass kicked right now. Of course, she would watch that, but only with Sasuke. Kakashi was about to reach into his pouch to pull out something, but Naruto spoke, getting his attention. "Kakashi, I'm afraid I can't allow you to take out that book," he said, closing his eyes and stood still for a moment. Kakashi, however, was surprised that Naruto knew of his book, but didn't heed his warning as he pulled said book out. "Oh, and why's that?" he asked, only to see it burst into flames. He looked up to see Naruto's left index and middle fingers were extended with smoke coming off them. Naruto then brought up his right arm to his back, and in a swirl of flames appeared the Kyuubi sword in his hand, making Kakashi's eyes widened. He then saw Naruto's eyes open to reveal full blood-red silted eyes as he removed the sword and stabbed the blade into the ground before flames surrounded the sword that told Kakashi that he would be at death's door for dinner tonight. "If he didn't take this seriously, that is because I'm going to make sure that your attention is focused on nothing but me. Now let's go," Naruto said, charging forward and extended the Nodaichi class sword in a wide slash. Kakashi jumped over the slash and landed behind the white-haired boy, only to see said boy strike the ground he once stood on and made his eyes widened once more. When the blade touched the ground, it burst right into flames, but these flames weren't your regular orange but that of pure pitch black. But Naruto took advantage of this and vanished from sight and reappeared behind Kakashi, getting ready to stab him through his chest. Kakashi quickly rolled to the side, dodging the stab, and chucked a kunai at Naruto's head, only to see said boy cut through it. Naruto then raised his sword high and sent it towards a down Kakashi, who took out more kunais and blocked the sword by crossing his arms and held it. Naruto pushed till the tip of his sword was touching the ground. Naruto then pulled back hard and sliced through the kunais with ease before trying to stab Kakashi through his stomach, only to see said man backflip himself off the ground, making Naruto's sword stab the earth. Kakashi was about to follow his attack, only to see Naruto grasp hard on his sword before twisting the handle, causing it to ignite in flames and break the rock under it. Naruto then called out "Exceed" and charged at Kakashi, but this time the speed and power was far stronger than before. Kakashi brought up his kunais, thinking that they blocked the hit. He was soon rudely awakened when the hit came and tore through the kunais and Kakashi himself, only to reveal that he was an actually shadow clone. Naruto still tore through it, before twisting himself on the heel of his right foot and coming to an abrupt stop, and pushed himself up to his feet. Thanks to his sword, he was not the only one marveled by the attack, as Sasuke and Sakura could not believe their eyes. They always thought that Naruto was the weakest member of the team, so he would be taken out first, and then they would get their chance and pass the test. However, seeing the way the white-haired boy was fighting their sensei and was keeping him on his feet told them otherwise. They then saw Kakashi sneak up behind Naruto and chop the back of the neck, seemingly knocking him out. "Well done, Naruto, but as you said, never let your guard down to your opponent," he said, seeing the boy fall forward, only to be shocked when he saw the boy turn into black dust and vanished from into the ground. "What the hell?" he questioned, only to hear claps from behind his back. When he turned, he saw Naruto clapping his hands, with his sword sticking on his back firmly and didn't look like it would fall anytime soon, which made him wonder one thing. How the hell did he get his sword to stick on his back like that? Was he using chakra? Did he apply glue to his back? What did he do? His thoughts were broken when Naruto spoke. "You know what, Kakashi, that was very impressive, but I think I've had enough fun for one day, and simply passed the test," Naruto said as he held up the two silver bells. Bells that made Kakashi go wide-eyed and look to his waist and saw said bells were gone. He looked at Naruto for an answer, but was greeted to the he already knew to his question and answered for him. "If you're wondering how I got the bells, well, I simply got them when I appeared behind you. It only took one full second for me to take the bells from you, while you were distracted," Naruto simply said as he jingled the bells and allowed their sound to be heard throughout the area. Sasuke and Sakura just looked on in disbelief at what they just saw, but before they could question it, they felt a pair of hands on their shoulders. They were soon tied to the posts with Naruto leaning on his in the center, a big smirk on his face evident of his accomplishment. "Well, I think I would be correct when I say that Naruto is the only one that has to remain a shinobi. He doesn't need the academy," Kakashi said with Naruto's smirk getting bigger. "But you two, Sasuke and Sakura, should quit being shinobis altogether," he stated with both Genin's eyes widening. Why should we quit?" Sakura yelled, the ropes holding her down, which helped ensure that Kakashi's would live another day because you're both a bunch of wannabes, while Naruto here is the only one that is true shinobi material. He said with Naruto's smirk getting bigger, while Sasuke and Sakura looked beyond pissed. What? I'm an Uchiha, yet this 3-time orphan academy dropout loser is better than me? He yelled only to be hit on his neck by an angry Naruto. You can't do that to Sasuke Ku. Shut up. Naruto said, giving her an icy glare. A glare that made her shut her ass up in an instant. You two are underestimating what it means to be a ninja. Tell me, why do you think you were divided into teams and are doing this training? Have you even grasped the answer to this test? Kakashi asked, with Sakura and Sasuke trying to think of the answer, but only Naruto knew the answer. Teamwork. Naruto said, as he leaned against his training post, bringing all attention to himself. The purpose of this test was to see if we could exhibit the teamwork necessary to become genin. Sakura scoffed at the words, only for her eyes to widen at Kakashi's answer. Correct. How did you figure it out? Said Kakashi as he released Sasuke, who moved back to his post to brood. There were a few points in your briefing that made no sense. The first was your suggestion of not eating breakfast under the guise of losing it. However, yesterday you arrived 3 hours late, and if your reputation is anything to go by, you are always at least 3 hours late for anything unless it is a meeting with the Hokage. This means that you told us that with the intention of weakening us to the point that we allowed our hunger to affect our thinking. Stated the white-haired boy, causing the eyes of his fellow students to widen while Kakashi's narrowed. Secondly was your statement that regardless one person would fail this test. This contradicts everything we have already been taught in the academy. However, as since the founding of this village, no genin squad has had less than 4 members, the genin and their jounin instructor. Once again, this was done purposely, most likely so that you could see if we had what it took to complete the mission regardless of the circumstances. In this case, that would mean one of us returning to the academy. Finished the boy with a sigh. Are you sure you are Uzumaki Naruto? According to the file I have, Uzumaki Naruto would have never thought this out so thoroughly. Stated Kakashi with narrowed eyes. Of course it says that. After all, I am the kid everybody loves to hate. Aside from that, I've had a full month to fix the problems caused by the teachers at the academy, a chakra reserve to put most jounin to shame, and a weapon with power that is endless on certain terms. Don't think for one second that I would allow myself to remain the same pathetic boy you once knew. Finished Naruto with a smug smirk. The others were confused by what he meant when he said secret weapon, though Kakashi had a feeling that he knew just what he was talking about. Back to the subject at hand, Naruto is the only one who showed teamwork, as he made sure that all the attention was on him and him alone. He thought that you two would be smart enough to attack me while he had my attention. Since he had the bells, all he would have to do was keep you two safe, and he himself would fight for his spot on this team. He said with Sasuke and Sakura's eyes widening. He was about to say more when their binds were broken and Naruto handed them his bells, thus confusing everyone. However, the time has yet to expire and I just did what you said. I released their binds and gave them my bells. Therefore we all pass, though I'm the one that deserves the title of genin. Naruto said as he began walking away. But wait a minute, you cheated. Kakashi said. The confusion was so great that he even forgot that the clock had yet to ring, which it did just now. I'm a shinobi, so deal with it. Naruto said as he continued walking forward. Sasuke, however, looked at the bell in his hands, as the memories of what Naruto just did played itself in his mind. He could not believe that a dobe like Naruto was able to beat a jounin and use some weird sword against him. He looked at Naruto's retreating form and spoke. Dobe, tell me where you got that sword. He said with Naruto pausing for a moment and looked over his shoulders. No was his only reply as he continued walking forward, but this time Sasuke was hot on his trail. Sasuke wanted answers and he was going to make Naruto talk. Before he even knew what happened, Naruto vanished from sight and reappeared behind him, Yamato drawn in his hand. Foolish, Naruto said before sheathing the Yamato. It was then that Sasuke's chest exploded and blood flew out of the wound like a fountain, and covered the area, or so he thought. There was a small flash before Sasuke stood, the wound gone, and he appeared to be fully healed. He looked up to be greeted by a hard glare from the former blonde, who did not look happy about that little stunt he tried to pull. "Know this, Uchiha, there will always be someone stronger, and today you found yours," Naruto said before disappearing in a quick flash. Naruto now stood in his training ground, working with his newest creation, thanks to Nero's helpful directions. Naruto had just created his third gun called Bloodfang. Its design was made after his father's personal creation, that resembled Nero's Blue Rose, which was a twin-barrel 350 for caliber magnum that was painted blood red and customized for quick releases and better power. He was trying to work out all the kinks in this baby, as he did not want this gun to be weak. He had an idea on using the Kyuubi's chakra in conjunction with the gun, to not only add in more power, but gave the bullets the power to explode and set its target on fire. With this added in effect, it would make its power and damage percentage much worse than before. "Okay Naruto, aim at the tree and charge your chakra into the gun," Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding and began to do as he was told. He channeled Kyuubi's chakra into the gun, making it glow red, before he pulled hard on the trigger and felt himself being pushed back a bit due to the aftershock. Naruto watched the bullet streak through the air before hitting a tree, and watched the tree erupt in flames. "Wow Kit, you still need to work on your control of my chakra. But other than that, good job," Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding. He was about to fire another round, until an ANBU appeared behind him. "Excuse me, but Hokage-sama would like to see you Uzumaki Naruto," the ANBU said with Naruto nodding. The ANBU then grabbed the boy arms and soon they both appeared in the office of Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was currently having his clones work on the useless paperwork while he himself read through the important files. Sure, he hated paperwork, but he could still file the important stuff in case it's ever discussed in a meeting. "Ah Naruto-kun, just the person I wanted to see. There is something I wish to discuss with you," Sarutobi said. His voice not sounding like this was a joking matter. "What is it, old man?" Naruto asked as he sat down in one of the chairs before the Hokage. "Recently, the Princess of the Land of Hearts was on her way to visit Fire Country's capital and discuss future trading agreements with the Fire Daimyo. However, it was said that on her way through the Land of Grass, she disappeared and hasn't been seen for the last 3 months, and her caretakers are very worried about her safety." Hiruzen said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. "What exactly are you trying to say?" Naruto said as he saw the old man hand him a scroll. "Naruto, you have been assigned your first A-rank mission. I want you to go find the Heart Country Princess, Nodoka." Chapter 4: The Journey to the Heat Land. How the fuck did I get into this shit? Naruto asked himself while on one knee as he pushed himself up. The beast before him screeched loudly as it sent an attack Naruto's way. Naruto quickly dodged and summoned Yamato to his hands and began racing towards the beast, which sent one of its tentacles at the white-haired boy. When he felt he had enough speed, he jumped towards the beast and unsheathed the Yamato from its scarab and slashed at the tentacles heading for him. Another tentacle came at him from above his head, but he vanished before said tentacle could hit him. Naruto reappeared on top of the tentacle and started run down its length, aiming for the head. More came at him, but thinking quickly, he resheathed the sword and placed it on his hip and took out his guns, Angel and Reaper. He took many shots at the tentacles heading his way before putting away his guns and extending his right arm calling out rebellion, and the broadsword appeared in his hands. Naruto then took more slashes at the approaching tentacles before he jumped off the one he once stood on, as it was heading towards the ceiling. Naruto placed the sword on his back and did some seals before calling out demonic fire release, Black Fire Dragon Jutsu. He yelled, launching a huge blast of black fire at the beast as one of its head flew at him. The head was consumed in the blast before exploding and its blood rained down on the surrounding area. Before the white-haired genin could celebrate his victory, he felt his arms being wrapped up and bonded. He then looked forward to see a tentacle heading straight for him. Before it hit, he heard someone call out Naruto before everything went black. Naruto was now on his way through the Land of Grass as he heard from the locals about what happened. They told him that the priestess was attacked by some weird-looking creatures and those that were there were killed except a few, who were far too scared to mention the ordeal that took place. They said that the young girl was taken to a location that once held an old clan house with the clan long since gone. Therefore, he was now on the road towards said clan home. To think I would risk my life to do this. But I guess I can't really complain since my ancestors probably had it worse. Naruto thought with Kyuubi nodding his head before responding to the boy. Yes, and for the record, I'm the nine-tailed fox sealed inside of an idiot, whose ancestor happens to be one of the 3 people I've grown to respect. Kyuubi said. He remembered when he first fought Sparda and how the man overpowered him. He wished he could kill Sparda that day, but after a while of working with the devil and seeing how the man was willing to do anything to get what he wanted, even going as far as to lose his power to save the human race from the war. Yeah. Well, at least you're more useful when I use you, Naruto said in his mind, making the Kyuubi growl. He then saw an open area and his eyes widened, looking at it. Damn, this is big as hell, Naruto said, looking at the area before him. It was like the Hyuga clan home, but with a taller wall surrounding the main and minor structures. From where Naruto was standing, he could see the huge front gates and the gigantic 5-story building that made up the main house. In all aspects of the word, this place was the shit for anyone living there. It looks like whoever lived here was loaded with the green faces, Naruto said to himself as he approached the gate and placed his hand on it, only to recoil at the intense heat. He looked at his hand and saw that it took on 3rd-degree burns. Well, that was unexpected, Naruto said to himself, seeing his skin rebuild itself thanks to his devil essence and Kyuubi. Naruto looked back at the gate and saw a small flash before it vanished and left the gate. It must be a defensive measure created to protect whatever the fuck is in there, Naruto said, flexing his hand before he began to plan his next move. It looks like a fire-type seal to make sure that nobody gets in. You should use me to get in, Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding. The white-haired boy then closed his eyes and called out Kyuubi. With that, the Nodachi blade that was Kyuubi's devil arm formed in his hands. Once he gripped the blade, he opened his eyes to reveal that they were now blood-red and silted. Okay, now then to use the next step, Naruto said as he raised the sword up to his shoulders and ran forward, extending the blade. The blade then hit a small barrier, but that broke and soon stabbed the gate, bringing the seal back out in the open. It was at least 12 feet in diameter and looked like strange arcane symbols piled on top of a simple spiral. The seal glowed brighter as the blade neared it, and shot balls of fire at Naruto, making him recoil and pull back and watch the seal glow before vanishing again. Alright, fuck this, Naruto said as he raised his right arm, and a red glow overtook Naruto before it revealed him in his one-tailed form, but something strange was behind him. It looked like a knight of sorts with armor all over him and a fox mask on. In his left hand was a shield and in his right hand was nothing, but he was doing the same thing as Naruto. Naruto called back Kyuubi, and soon the blade appeared in the hand of the knight. He then summoned Yamato and repeated the process and stabbed the gate, but this time 2 blades were working as one. The blades that worked with fire and darkness each worked as one and continued its battle with the seal. Naruto was using Kyuubi's sword to battle the seal's firepower, while the Yamato used its darkness power to corrupt the seal. The seal glowed from orange and yellow to red and purple power. The seal vanished and Naruto was now allowed into the area. The swords soon vanished into the boy's arms as he panted heavily. That took a lot out of him, but it was only a matter of time before he got this open. Well, that was pretty hard, kid. I would say that you did do a good job with the Yamato though, Kyuubi said, remembering when Sparda used that blade in his battles. He remembered as clear as day, and how the man would slay thousands of demons with just a single slash on the blade. He had to say that it was something he wished he could do, but he supposed that Naruto can have all the fun. For now, well, that doesn't matter now. I need to get this shit over with and try to find this princess, Naruto said before he walked into the area, missing the dark figure behind the tree. His back was turned too. The figure had a dark smirk on his face as he watched Naruto walk into the area before he himself stepped away from the tree and began to walk away. It looks like my blood has yet to vanish or extinguish itself. Excellent, he thought before he vanished into black dust that flew into the air and took him away from the area. Back to Naruto, the white-haired boy stared in awe at the area before him. There were 4 one-story houses in every corner of the compound, and 4 two-story homes surrounding the huge tower in the middle. The place even had its own streets. Of course, it was deserted. The paths had not been walked on for a while, until today that is. Naruto could not help but marvel at this place, and was even thinking of staying for a night or two. He made 3 shadow clones and gave them their instructions. Okay guys, I want each of you to check out a different part of this place. Maybe we can find some resources here to help us out on this mission. Naruto said with the clones nodding. Also be very careful, something about this place doesn't feel normal, he said with the clones going to their locations and himself going to his. The first clone made its way to one of the houses and opened the door. The clone walked in with a smile on his face. Wendy, I'm home, so put on a happy face because here's Johnny, and, from the old school classic, the shinning, he said walking in the door only to see no one there. Well, can't say that I'm not disappointed. Oh well, let's see what this place got. Clone 1 said walking in the house. He could not help but whistle at the appearance of the place and walked into the kitchen and looked around the area and saw that the cabinets were filled with dishes and glasses perfectly stacked and not one ounce of dust on it. He found that a little peculiar that there was no dust, no grime, not a single sign that the place had been vacated. Well, this is pretty strange. Let's see what else is here. The clone said, looking around the house and was defiantly seeing something strange. The carpeting was still fresh, the walls were unmarred, the hardwood parts of the floor completely spotless. Naruto's clone knew one thing was for sure, this place was possessed by ghost maids. He laughed at the joke and continued looking around the hallway until he felt something behind his back. He turned around and saw that it was only the air. The boy starched the back of his head in confusion. Well, that was strange, he said, not seeing the cloaked figure approach him from behind. The second clone was in the first house overlooking everything that was in there. He liked how everything looked, as it looked like the type of house a single person or a couple could use as their first house. He looked around and couldn't help but feel like he wasn't alone in this place. It was as if he was in the presence of several people in this place, yet he was the only one here. It felt like he was being watched by someone that had ill intentions towards him. TSSH, I'm just overreacting to nothing. Besides, this is a nice-ass place. The clone said to himself as he walked into the bathroom and turned on the sink to splash some water on his face. He did not notice the cloaked figure that now stood in the open door of the bathroom and was prepared to take the white-haired boy out. The third clone was now on its final house after looking through the other 3, but did not find anything strange besides the fact that the shit was spotless. He never would have thought the place would have been spotless, no matter how long the place had been deserted. He figured there would have at least been some dust, but there was not one, and that confused the clone. Oh well, it's not like it could get any worse, the clone said to himself as he walked over to the fridge and opened it. The clone saw that the fridge was packed with leftovers, frozen meat, and a pizza. The clone said to himself, pulling out the box and opened it to reveal one slice. Well, that sucks. Oh well, I guess one is good enough, the clone said before eating up the slice quickly before turning and throwing the box behind his back, not seeing the cloaked figure behind him holding a blade in its hand. All 3 creatures raised their blades high and were about to take the clones down, when their hands appeared before the figures with each holding a copy of Angel, Reaper, and Bloodfang. The clones pulled the triggers and the blast hit the figures, making all 3 of them break down into sand. Naruto looked back, hearing the sound of the gunshots before seeing the reason why. Before him, dust began to appear and creatures appeared before him. Each one of the creatures looked like a skeleton dressed in cloaks and each held a scythe in their hands. Naruto then felt the memories of his clone protrude his mind, and that told him one thing: he was not alone in this place from the get-go. Well, ain't this a bitch? Oh well, I guess there was no use in hiding yourself anymore, Alright, let me show you what I can do, Yamato, Naruto said with the okatana appearing in his hands. Almost as soon as that happened, one of the demons pounced to attack him, only to be sliced vertically by the white-haired boy, before he vanished and reappeared behind the backs of several others, with their heads coming off. Naruto looked behind his back and saw more coming at him, so he dismissed Yamato and pulled out Reaper and Angel and began firing rounds at the demons. He fired at one, which quickly died on the spot. He then ran up to the body and used it as a trampoline, which helped him flip his body to faces the ground. He then began to spin and fired more rounds at the demons below, which killed about 2 before more materialized themselves. He landed in the middle of some of them and began firing more on his sides before aiming his gun behind his back and to his left. He did this a couple of more times until all of the demons were gone. Once he saw that they were gone, he began to walk away from the scene only to spin around and fired another round off Reaper and watched the bullet curve in the air before going through the head of another demon that thought it could sneak up on him. Naruto scoffed as he put away his toys and began to walk towards the tower in this compound. Something told him that that was the main reason for all this. He walked into the tower and saw that it was pretty tall. It had a lot of windows all around it that was open to the light and a staircase going all the way to the top. As soon as Naruto was in completely, the doors closed and soon the whole place was covered in darkness. "Who dares to show himself within this sacred area?" said a voice that sounded like that of an old man. "Sacred? You call this place sacred with all the demons around here?" Naruto asked. "Shut you mouth, you little brat, if you know what's good for you," said another voice with a stutter in his voice. "Well, tell me who, or what, the hell you are, then maybe I'll be cooperative. Watch your tongue, child. Also, don't you know it's impolite not to introduce yourself first before asking for their name," said another voice that had a deep tone to it. "Fine, my name is Sparda Namikaze Naruto. Now who the fuck are you three?" Naruto tapped his foot, getting impatient with the voices. "Sparda. You're the descendant of that bastard son?" the old man's voice yelled, with Naruto nodding his head. They were obviously pissed off. "Yep, I am his last descendant," Naruto said, only to hear another voice growl loudly. "I've dreamed for many years of the day I killed the bastard child of Sparda, and now I can get that by killing you. Now, descendant of Sparda, prepare for your punishment," the deep voice said. Naruto was expecting an assault of some kind, but was instead greeted with the floor simply vanishing into thin air and was now free-falling to the ground below. A ground he figured was covered with spikes. "Well, I didn't see that coming. Oh well, no use in complaining," Naruto said to himself before summoning Kyuubi's one-tailed form and used the fox claw to slow down his descent. He whistled a sigh of relief as he saw how deep the hole was, and wondered what he should do now. "You should continue downward," Kyuubi said, as he got over the surprise and was now waiting to see what would happen. "Now continue down?" But there couldn't be anything down there of any importance, Naruto said before letting himself go down a bit and was now heading towards the lower levels of this tower. "It's because this whole place has a very high sense of demonic activity, and the only way to find out what it is, we need to explore it," Kyuubi said. He saw Naruto make it all the way down to the bottom. Naruto looked to the side and saw that there were indeed spikes at the bottom, and they looked to have some dried blood on them, meaning that they have been used before. Naruto just simply looked ahead and sighed in boredom before he walked down the hall. He guessed that he had time to kill before going back up to find the princess. Chapter 5 Naruto vs. the Temon and Igru. Deep within a dark cavern, a white-haired boy could be seen walking in the darkness, holding a lit flame in his palm. He has been here now for over 20 minutes and has yet to see a light at the end of this tunnel. Sure, he felt the large amount of demonic energy held within this place, but was still wondering what could possibly transmit that kind of power. "Kid, I think I might know what it is," Kyuubi said, though Naruto was able to keep his focus and talk to the fox. "Well, whatever it is, tell me while I'm in a good mood. God knows I want to get the fuck out of here," Naruto stated as he saw only more darkness, though thankfully he still had his night vision, which was helping him out more than the fire could do for him right now. "I think that this is the spot where Dante hid his devil arms, after the battle on the Temon and Igru," Kyuubi said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. "The Temon what? Exactly?" The Temon and Igru was an edifice constructed by the High Council of Demons 2,000 years back as a border between the human and demon worlds. While this happened, several demons came into the human world only for Dante to take them out one by one and eventually gaining Sparda's greatest weapon, the Force Edge. Kyuubi said with Dante nodding, confirming that his words were indeed true. "The Force Edge? Why didn't they have it with them when I met them?" "Because a long time ago, when the Devil King made his return, Dante had to use not only the Force Edge to reseal him, but all the devil arms he gained in his life. They were spread across to unknown locations, but the Force Edge was never seen again. but somehow I am getting this familiar sense about this place, and I don't know why exactly. Kyubi said with Naruto finding his solution in a small light in front of him, even though the temperature kept dropping by the second, but thanks to Kyubi, the cold didn't affect him like most would think. When he came out of the light, he saw that he was now in some kind of courtyard covered in snow and ice. It confused him greatly, as how the hell was he supposed to underground and there was fucking snow on the ground in a courtyard? Oh shit, Naruto. Be very careful here, you are not alone. Nero said, as he remembered this exact same scene and what will happen next. Before he could respond, two red females came into view and each one had a very sexy voice to them. Hey there big boy, did you come here to play with us? One of the females said, with one of them feeling on his body kit resist the temptation. This all the work of Dagon, the ice toad demon. Kyubi said with urgency, knowing that the demon toads love to use deception on their victims. Naruto nodded and jumped away from the two girls, just in time too, as in that second a huge light blue toad with ice particles on its back came into the light and tried to chomp on the white-haired boy, only to see said boy now standing in front of him with a questioning look. What the hell are you? Naruto asked, seeing the demon shake its head, showing that the women were actually his feelers. Who are you? Nobody has ever been able to resist the temptation before, as all that have succumbed to it has perished severely. Dagon said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. He has never seen anything like this before and was now wondering how his ancestors faced this thing. Naruto, use me to help you fight this thing. Kyubi said with Naruto nodding. Any word of advice? Naruto asked as he summoned Kyubi to his hands, which turned his eyes red once more, and the blade was lit on fire. Just one, stay as far away as you can from his mouth, but his tongue is his weak point for some odd reason, since a toad's strong point is always its tongue. Just stay clear of his mouth and you should be able to kill him very easily. Kyubi said with Naruto nodding, before he saw Dagon try to take a bite out of him only to slash the toad across its lips, making it recoil and jump back. Ah, you damn human, I'll make you pay for that. Dagon said before extending his hind legs and let the ice particles on his back fly towards Naruto, who was already ahead of him. Naruto jumped towards the ice and bounced off the ones that were the closets, before he slashed downward at Dagon's body, sending a wave of fire at the toad, who took the hit and screamed in pain. Naruto took advantage of this situation, and went in a nosedive and stabbed Dagon's head, making him scream in pain, only to shake Naruto off his head and inhale a lot of air. Naruto looked up and saw him begin to inhale. Kid, be very careful of the next move. What he will do is completely cover the area in darkness in order to make you remain where you are, while he himself pounces on you to devour you. Kyubi said, knowing that one of the things that the toad demons used to capture their victims was their abilities to hide perfectly in shadows before striking. However, Naruto was too late, as Dagon exhaled and the area was now covered in a dark snowstorm. Naruto tried to look around with his night vision, but even that could not help him to see Dagon's whereabouts. If I don't see him then I'm dead, and if I stay here then I'm dead. So what the hell do I do? He asked himself before a light bulb went off in his head and got ready for what he expected. It's dinner time, shouted Dagon, as he jumped from the darkness and appeared before Naruto with his mouth open, but was soon shocked when Naruto jumped in his direction with his sword in a stabbing position. I heard your tongue is your weak point. Let's test that theory, shall we? Naruto said as he stabbed the blade of the Kyubi into Dagon's tongue, making the toad demon howl in pain. But the sound didn't affect the boy, as he summoned Kyubi's flame to his extended hand, before slamming it into the tongue, making it catch fire, causing the toad demon more pain than he could handle, and quickly spat out Naruto. The white-haired boy landed on his feet and ran forward holding Kyubi with both of his arms. The blade ignited in flames as he himself was covered with Kyubi's chakra, making him run faster. Dagon looked up to see Naruto running towards him with his sword in both hands, but the pain was still there and he could only do nothing but watch his demise come. When the white-haired boy neared, said boy jumped towards him and stabbed him on his forehead, which was where his brain should be located, and sent as much of his sword's fire as he could muster from the sword to the demon's inner skull. Once he felt that he gave enough, the boy jumped off. The white-haired boy watched as the blood exploded from Dagon's wound on his forehead before it fell over. Naruto quickly returned Kyuubi and watched as the body looked to have a seizure before a white orb came out of the demon's body and headed toward him. He already knew what this meant. It was time for him to gain a brand new devil arm, and he wondered what it would be. He extended his hand as the orb came to him, and in a flash of light, the item revealed itself to be case. It was a dark blue briefcase with the image of demon on the front with yellow lines constantly appearing every few seconds. He was a little confused until the information came to his head and a smirk came to his face. Let's see, this is what's known as Pandora's box. A box that can form up to 666 types of weapons, but it appears that I only have about 9 forms unlocked. It also appears that my devil essence has absorbed Dagon's dark shroud technique. That's okay for now, but let's see what you can do. Naruto thought as he gave Pandora a try, not really noticing that his eyes were now silted gunmetal gray. He used all 7 forms that went in this order. Form number PF-124, Epidemic, showed itself to be a powerful blowgun that could ravage the land with one shot. Form number PF-262, Hatred, showed itself to be a secondary addition to the blowgun, by becoming a bazooka which added more firepower. Then came the next transformation as form number PF-398, Revenge, became a laser cannon, which could destroy everything in the surrounding area. Form number PF-422, Grife, became a bladed boomerang. Form number PF-542, Savagery, became a bladed edged shield. Form number PF-608, Jealousy, became a high-power machine gun. Form number PF-598, Argument, that turned the box into a floating platform chair with missile launchers all over the form. Then lastly came the final form number PF-666, Omen, which opened the box although its ability was unknown to him. Naruto liked all these forms and could not wait to use them till Kyuubi spoke. Hey kid, try PF-007, Envy. I think you'll like that one. Kyuubi said with Naruto shrugging his shoulders and mentally commanding the box to make that form. Naruto's eyes widened when the box became a sports bike. I don't want to describe it, so I'll just tell you. It's a 2009 Suzuki bike and the color is dark blue, of course, with the only difference being that Naruto's bike has Pandora's image on the front. Naruto placed his hands on the handle of the bike and revved it up, hearing the back wheels grind on the ground and the small jet behind it hum. He got on it, and without anything else to say, the bike went off and he was now riding towards the next battle. 20 minutes later, the former blonde made it to an area that looked as if it was completely covered in ice, with a cave right in front of him. Seeing that as the best place to go, he called back Pandora and began walking towards the cave. Once he entered the cave, he saw that all the walls were completely covered in ice, but thanks to Kyuubi, he was able to withstand any temperature below 500 degrees Celsius. He looked around and saw that there was a giant thing in front of him covered in what looked like ice armor and had chains connecting its body to the wall. Now this is strange. What the hell is that? Ah, that is good old Cerberus, the Ice Guardian. He is a very noble demon and is very strong when he gets either serious or really pissed. Kyuubi said while continuing his explanation to his vessel. He is a 3-headed dog, which can scare easily if you aren't one of us. He mainly uses ice attacks and his size, but once you get past that measure you should be able to take him down very easily. I advise you to use either Kyuubi or Rebellion, as his main weakness is fire and inconveniently, his size. Kyuubi said, as he remembered when he first fought Cerberus and how hard it was to take him down. After digesting all that, he turned to examine the huge beast that was Cerberus. Just as he stepped forward, however, the room began to shake and he quickly jumped back, dodging the large block of ice that came crashing to the floor. Looking back towards the creature, he could now see it was a large dog with 3 heads each with different colored eyes. Leave now, mortal. The likes of you are forbidden in this land. You who are powerless are not worth to set foot here. Came a masculine voice from the dog demon's center head, shocking the boy. Wow. I've never seen a talking mutt before. I can walk up walls and seen people walk on water, but still this takes the cake. You know, I'd bet you'd be a shoo-in for first prize at a dog show," said the white-haired Genin, smirking at the end. "You, a mere human, dare make a mockery of me?" growled the beast. Just as it finished that sentence, it arched its center head back, red eyes glowing before sending a blast of ice towards the boy from its mouth. Seeing it coming, the genin dodged it, jumping over it before landing on his feet calmly. "Easy there, Fido. How about I take you for a walk?" he said before clapping his hands as a means to calling a dog. "Come on, Fido, let's go, boy," he said while whistling to the dog as if calling him. "You'll regret that, you worm," snarled Cerberus, getting a smirk from the boy. Naruto then held up his right arm and called out rebellion, with the broadsword appeared in his hands, and a smirk came to his face. Cerberus wasted no time and launched a ball of ice at the white-haired boy, who cut it in half before running forward calling out "Stinger," and went like a bullet at Cerberus's right leg. The sword pierced the dog demon's skin, which made it grunt before raising its left paw and try to take out the white-haired boy, only for Naruto to vanish in thin air. The white-haired boy then reappeared in the air and chucked rebellion at Cerberus' left head, before he pulled out his guns and fired off several shots, with one hitting the handle of his sword and making it fly faster and hit the ice on top of the head and broke it off instantly. Naruto then sent himself flying towards the sword with an extended right foot and kicked the sword through the head, making it scream aloud. It was silenced quickly when Naruto summoned Kyuubi and sliced the head off, leaving Cerberus with only two. The dog demon got so mad that it turned red and was now looking fiercer than before. Naruto called back Kyuubi and held his hand out, and rebellion flew back to his hands. When that happened, he jumped over Cerberus, who charged at him as a means to eat him. Naruto landed on his feet only to dodge another attack from Cerberus, who used his voice to rock the area and caused ice particles to fall from the ceiling. He quickly placed the sword on his back and used the skills he gained from his training in the trickster style to dodge all the particles. He quickly jumped into the air to dodge a large blast of ice that Cerberus sent his way. He took out Blood Fang and charged it with as much chakra as he could into the gun, before pulling the trigger, and watched as the bullets hit his right head and exploded in fire, making the demon cry out in pain, with the ice being blown off completely as well as the center head. Naruto then got an idea and knew that this would work. He quickly placed rebellion on his back before he crossed his fingers for his favorite jutsu, and made about 30 clones. Cerberus then looked to see the white-haired boy with 30 clones of himself, each holding copies of Angel, Reaper, and Blood Fang in their hands, which was currently being charged by the clones. It was not hard to find the original, as said original was standing tall, with his arms crossed. Naruto then grasped Rebellion's handle and held it above his head, ready. Naruto with the clones getting on one knee, aim. Naruto said with the clones aiming the guns. He then pointed Rebellion's tip at Cerberus and called out fire, which they in fact did, letting loose a large barrage of bullets at the demon's body, which made said demon cry out in pain. Naruto kept the clone's barrage going for a full minute before he saw the demon's body hit the ground hard. Naruto called the clones to a halt, and dismissed, then feeling the information and memories they obtained during their time. Naruto approached Cerberus, who was trying to stand but was doing a sad job of that. "You're not human, are you?" questioned Cerberus from his position on the ground. "Who knows? I'm not even sure myself anymore," said Naruto with a laugh. He had been asking that one question about himself now for the longest time, as he had the mind of a human but the power of a demon. Maybe he was the balance in between, but he would not be able to tell at the moment. "Regardless, you have proven your ability. I know when I'm beaten by someone stronger," Cerberus said, standing up, and coughed loudly. "You have earned your victory and shall take hold of my soul. Now go forward with my blessing." Cerberus said. He began to shudder and his body exploded. When the smoke cleared, all that could be seen was a glowing blue sphere of light. Naruto sighed as it floated near him. The damn dog could have at least pointed the way out first. Regardless of this, he accepted the dog's soul as it came to him just before a flash of light hit him. When the light cleared, he was holding a tripartite nunchaku. Each rod was connected to a steel ring. As he held it, an icy blue glue began to surround him just before his eyes glazed over. When he came to, he gained a ton of knowledge about the devil arm he was holding. This weapon had a new style to it, in which you would have to require extreme amount of skill to wield such a weapon. He then looked at one of the ice particles and saw that his eyes were now light blue due to devil essence taking effect. He felt with this weapon, he could fight, no matter what the situation was, and a clam and even feeling. He also learned all of Cerberus's ice techniques, which was another addition to his power. It seems like with each devil arm I receive, I learn the attacks they used as well. Interesting, Naruto said to himself, before putting Cerberus away. He then felt something on his body, and when he looked at it he saw that he had 2 new tattoos. He saw that he now had a new one under his left arm and one under his right arm. The one on his left arm was the face of Pandora's box with yellow veins appearing around it. On his right arm looked like a light blue arrow with 2 more coming out of the end of it, though that one looked like a clear snowflake. He smirked at his new tattoo and was now on his way to out of the area. The white-haired Genmin smirked as he finally made it to the end of the long hallway. It had taken him a while to get to this point as he'd walked slowly through the darkness. The journey, however, had given him the time to work on one of his senses. This sense he had discovered was known as echolocation. This was not as much of a sense, but was more like a talent that allowed those capable of using it to locate objects by the reflection of sound, though it was mostly found in animals like bats and owls. According to Kyubi, what he had was several times stronger than that, as it allowed him to see the things around him up in a radius of 20 feet around him without a single blind spot. Shaking himself from his thoughts, he found he was currently in front of a large gate that was closed with iron bars going both vertically and horizontally with torches on each side. In front of the gate was a large chain that was blocking access to the next room and was connected to statues on each side of the gate. These statues took the form of 2 bodies sitting down on stone slabs and holding a pair of broadswords, which had the chains wrapped around the blades. "Look, brother. It's been ages, but we finally have company," said a deep voice that reverberated within the cave. "I see that," said another voice, though this one was lighter in tone. "We must entertain our guest." "You're right, we have to be gracious host." "So, what should we do?" "How should I know? We need to come up with something." Naruto sighed, hearing this, wondering when this conversation would be over. Brother, it appears our guest is sighing," said the first voice. "Yes, much like the last guest we had," responded the second. "Look, I don't know about any other guest, but this one wants through that gate and out of this damn cave," interrupted the white-haired boy, obviously having enough of the 2 talking statues. Just after he finished, the room began to shake and the statues began to not only move but stand and change. When the 2 statues stood tall and were fully formed in color, they took the form of 2 headless bodies, one blue and one red, each only covered by a loincloth. Each of them had what looked like scales on their right arms, and both carried a sword that had what looked like a head topping the handle with glowing eyes. He also noticed each of the swords had serrated edges. "Our job here is to guard this gate," said the red one. "That's right, only those worthy may pass here," said the blue one. "I am Agni," said the red one. "I am Rudra," said the blue one. "We are known as the Firestorm," stated the 2 together, as they jumped from their position and stood before Naruto with their swords being surrounded by fire for the red one and wind for the blue one. They each sent a combined strike at Naruto, with their swords helping the other by sending flames at Naruto, who jumped back and looked at the 2 headless freaks. "Okay, if you guys know anything about Twiddleda and Twiddledum, now would be a great time to tell me," Naruto said, dodging another strike from the headless demon. Tightened his grip on Rebellion and held it in both hands, ready to defend himself at any given moment. "Agni and Rudra are both powerful demons, but as you said, they are incredible stupid and can be beaten easily. All you have to do is overpower one and the other will come after you to defend him. Just don't allow them the opportunity to double-team you, as they work well together, but separately they are nothing." Kyubi said. "Any weakness I should know about?" Naruto asked, jumping over Agni's sword strike and blocked Rudra's before jumping over Rudra, to see that Agni tried to slice him in half. "Surprisingly enough, Rudra's weakness is ice, so use Cerberus if you need to, but I wouldn't recommend that as you just got it with no training. As for Agni, I don't know," he said as Naruto dodged another strike and now stood on the other side of the area. "So I have to try to find another way? Oh well, I guess I should have seen that coming." he thought before jumping back as Agni tried to take him out once more. Naruto then extended Rebellion and called out Prop Shredder and spun his sword around his hand, which connected on Agni and sent him up into the air. Naruto reappeared above him and did some quick slashes before hitting Agni hard enough to send his body back to the ground hard. Naruto then did some quick seals and called out Fire Release, Heat Cannon, and exhaled a large plume of fire that hit Agni's body and incarcerated him in a matter of minutes. Brother Rudra called out, watching the body of his brother die before his eyes. He quickly jumped back to where he once sat and held out his sword. When he did that, the sword that was once held by Agni seemed to have a reaction and came to Rudra's hand. When that happened, both blades exploded in flames before Rudra charged at the white-haired boy, who was already prepared for him. Rudra landed with a heavy thud before he began to roll towards Naruto, who summoned Pandora and fired a shot from its epidemic form. The shot connected and sent Rudra's body back to the wall behind him. Not willing to waste any time, Naruto turned Pandora straight into its revenge form and charged it while Rudra got back up. When the headless demon got up, he could only look up as Naruto finished his charge and fired his attack, hitting Rudra and destroyed his body instantly. The only thing that survived were the two swords that he wielded as they now sat on the floor standing. Naruto simply put Pandora away and placed Rebellion on his back and was about to walk away. Wait. The familiar voices caught him by surprise, forcing him to turn back around. When he did, he found the eyes of the two swords staring at him intently. Yes, wait, we have been waiting for a long time, stated the red sword, surprising Naruto, though he supposed he should not have been, as neither of the ogres he had faced had heads or mouths with which to speak. Yes, a very long time, spoke the blue one, its deeper voice echoing in the quiet cave. For someone stronger than us. Someone who can control us. My name is Agni. And my name is Rudra. You shall take us with you, we shall be a great help to you, said both together, surprising the blonde with the request, though only his raised eyebrow showed this. Okay, but on two conditions, said the boy calmly after a few seconds of thought. Name them, said the two swords instantly. Firstly, I want to know everything you know about this place and how I can get out and back to the top floor, said the white-haired boy before looking pointedly at the two, quietly demanding the answers. This place is known as the Demon Corridor, due to the clan that lived here being experts at using demons as weapons and such, Agni said, with Naruto's eyes widening slightly, but didn't let that bother him. They all were very powerful in using demons, and on occasions we would be used to help fight with some members. Rudra said, with Naruto nodding. Okay, but what became of the clan? He asked, even though he had a suspicion on who this mystery clan was. We don't know. All we know is that about 100 years, there was an attack on this home and we were placed here as a means of protecting the clan's secrets from escaping. Though they said that the time will come when a warrior would return here, and take control of the guardians as well as the secrets of the clan. Agni said, with Rudra shaking, which meant that he nodded his head. We do, however, know the name of the clan that once lived here. Rudra said, with Naruto raising an eyebrow. Really, what was the clan's name? Naruto asked. Their name was Kazama, the holders of demons. Agni and Rudra said at the same time, with Naruto rubbing his chin, deep in thought. This is very interesting. I have to learn more about this clan, but apparently if I want to learn more I would have to keep going up. Okay, you can come along, but just one more thing though. No talking, stated the boy, finally pointing to each of the swords in turn. Fair enough, stated Agni. As you wish, stated Rudra. With that said, he grabbed each of the swords, Agni with his right and Rudra with his left, before turning towards the gates. As he did, the blades of the swords were engulfed in their respective elements just as he let loose several experimental slashes. Placing the two hilts together, he was surprised when they seemed to meld together, forming one large double-bladed sword as wind and fire began to encircle him. Sending several more slashes out, he launched several blades of wind-enhanced fire at the gate, which not only cut through it but also melted the places they hit before he pulled the blades apart. Impressive, said Rudra as he finished his swings, only for Naruto to come out of his stance and hit each of the hilts against the other. No talking, said the boy, again looking at the two faces intently, getting silence from each of them. Good. Satisfied with the silence, he dismissed them and was not surprised when they each burst into particles of light before being absorbed into his body, bringing out a new tattoo for him to gaze. The tattoo went under his right forearm this time, and that looked like a red and blue and yang symbol with the faces of Agni and Rudra on the opposite ends of the symbols. After enjoying the new tattoo, he began to walk away from the area he once stood in, and began walking to the next one. After 20 minutes of traveling, the boy arrived at an area. He quickly called back Pandora, after getting off course, and walked towards the stone walkway that had an open door at the end. As he entered the doorway at the end of the stone walkway, he found himself in a large room, the walls of which were lined with candles. In front of him sat a set of steps leading up to what appeared to be a stage, while to the side of him was an organ with golden pipes traveling up the wall. His observations were halted, however, as he noticed a swarm of bats converging on a single point in front of him. As they continued to converge, the form of a woman could be made out. She had light green skin with long blood-red hair. She wore no shirt, but had parts of her hair hanging down her front to cover her rather large breast. She wore what looked to be a long black skirt, which completely covered her lower half, though Naruto was surprised as he noticed that the bats were actually forming the skirt as they converged upon her, while those that did not flew behind her. Finally, the boy noticed the fangs she had within her mouth. Overall, it was enough to make the boy blush a bright shade of red, though he reined in the impulse. The woman laughed as she noticed the reaction she had elicited from the boy with her appearance. The sound was sweet on the boy's ears, and he would have taken her for a water goddess if he did not know she was a demon. "Careful, Kit," came the warning growl from Kyubi upon hearing the former blonde's thoughts. "That is Nevin, the lightning witch. As you can most likely guess, she has power over lightning," explained Kyubi to his host. "You know her?" questioned the boy mentally. "She's a succubus and one of the few with any real power, and famous for it. Sparda had a run-in with her before she was sealed in the Temen and Igru, and again with Dante. The bats hovering behind her will act as shields for her, so your guns are out. The bats only clear when she gets ready to attack. Other than that, you'll have to force past them. You'll need to be careful with this one. Otherwise she'll suck you dry, and with your healing that'll take a while," explained Kyubi, though he only thought the last bit. "Anything on a weakness I should know about?" Naruto thought as he tried to keep his eyes off the demoness exposed body. "Once again, her weakness is to ice, but once more you don't know how to use Cerberus at all. You should use me, as that will help you fight her lightning power with my fire power," Kyubi said, with Naruto nodding before Nevin spoke to him, breaking him from his mental conversation with his demon. "Welcome, sir. I take it this is your first time here?" said Nevin sensually as she approached the young boy, breaking him away from his discussion with Kyubi. "Yeah, it is. You'll be nice to me, won't you?" "Of course I will," stated the woman as she walked around the boy. "I'll treat you so nicely you'll never want to leave," stated the woman as she came to stand in front of the boy, taking in his appearance. She couldn't help but notice that he was quite handsome for a boy his age, and the power radiating off his body. She felt the power earlier but simply tuned it out as one of the demons trapped down getting into a scuffle, but now it appeared that they have all fallen at the hands of this boy, and now wanted to make said boy into a man. "I'm afraid that while that sounds nice, I can't, as I have to be back home soon and I can't exactly stay here. Even if it does involve sex for all eternity," he said, with the green-skinned succubus laughing to herself before a smirk came to her face. "I'll tell you what. We'll make a little deal after our fight. If I win I get what I want from you, but if you win, well, I'll tell you if you do win," Nevin said, brushing her hand on Naruto's crouch area, making the white-haired boy blush. Nevin then walked forward, letting her hand brush on his crouch for a few more seconds before walking a couple of steps forward, before turning and blowing a kiss at the boy, which looked like a strange purple mist. Naruto simply extended his right arm and called out Kyubi, brining the Nodachi blade to his hands. He then looked towards Nevin with his silted red eyes and deep smirk as he pointed his sword towards the succubus. "Oh, don't worry, I will win," he said, with the woman chuckling to herself before motioning him to come at her, which he did. Naruto ignited Kyubi and sent a slash through the air, forming a crescent moon blast, and headed right for Nevin, who summoned her bats and blocked the attack. She then sent her palms forward and sent a blast of lightning at Naruto, who rolled to the side and sent more fire at the succubus, who kept blocking with her bats. Naruto then dismissed Kyuubi and summoned Rebellion to his hands. He then charged forward, while called out Stinger, and charged at Nevin, extending the pointed tip sword at Nevin. The green-skinned demon blocked the attack once more, but this time she sent her bats to surround Naruto and sent blast of lightning at the former blonde. Naruto quickly directed chakra to his legs and pushed himself off the ground, then placed Rebellion on his hands before doing some seals and called out wind release, drilling air bullet and sent the air blast at Nevin, who jumped back and dodged the attack before sending another lightning blast at Naruto. Naruto was lucky he training in Dante's old trickster style, as he was able to easily dodge that attack before taking out a kunai and threw it at Nevin, while doing some seals and turned the kunai into 50. Nevin had her bats go above her head and make a prison of lightning in front of her before shooting towards the white-haired boy, destroying the kunai. Naruto was able to dodge all the blast of lightning, but when he looked back to where he thought Nevin was, she was gone. He then heard a chuckling sound behind him as he looked to see Nevin. Game over, sugar, she said before hitting Naruto with a lightning blast. Naruto got on his knees and coughed before he puffed out of existence. Nevin's eyes widened before she looked behind her back, only to be hit by another stinger attack and called out Dance Macabre. From that moment, he began to stab the demoness with as many stabs as he could give before giving one mighty stab that sent her flying back and landed on her back, but she didn't get up. Naruto panted deeply. That move took a lot out of him. Sure, he was able to do it, but he still has yet to gain the speed needed to use all the moves without chakra. To perform 3 stingers, summon Kyuubi and Rebellion, using those 2 jutsus, and the Dance Macabre, he was tired as hell. But thankfully Kyuubi was recharging his tanks and he now had enough energy to at least walk. He walked over to Nevin and picked the green-skinned demoness off the ground, holding her in his arm. He was surprised to see that she was still alive after all that, but it didn't matter now as Nevin looked towards him with a small smile. Not bad, sugar. To think I met someone just as handsome as Sparda, Nevin said, brushing her hand on the boy's cheek, though Naruto took her hand in his. Very well then, come see me later, my master, and I'll show you my surprise, Nevin said as her hand laid on the ground. Naruto then watched as her body flashed white and purple before the light left, and he was now holding his newest weapon. It was an odd-looking guitar, which held no strings, instead having streaks of purple lighting streaming down it. Once his hands touched the weapon, he felt more power added to him and could not help but feel electric in certain words. He pulled off his headband in order to look at the reflective surface for something, and saw just that, as his eyes were now dark purple. Man, I love this shit. It's like every time I get a new power, I gain a new form. I can't wait to train with this baby, Naruto thought, strumming the guitar and played a few notes before allowing the weapon to go back into his body. He then looked and saw that he now had the tattoo of a black and purple bat on his chest with the wings going up to the collarbone. Very well done on that, kit. You obviously have been very well trained in our arts, but just wait until you train with the other devil arms, Kyuubi said, with Naruto nodding his head before another smirk came to his face. He was getting more powerful by the second, and it was all his power now. He could practically say that he had more power than he could measure, but before he could have another thought on it, Kyuubi interfered. Naruto, stop. Listen to me, if you think like that your arrogance will be your downfall, Kyuubi said, making Naruto pause at what he was told. He then went over what just happened and slapped his head. How could he think like that? If he did, that would make him no better than Sasuke team. He wanted to be better than that, and now he cannot afford to be arrogant if he wanted to get out of here in one piece. I almost lost myself there. Maybe it's the fact that I keep adding onto my power which would make me think that, Naruto thought, before summoning Pandora and sending the box straight to its bike form and left the area. He needed to ride for a while before he continued through the next door. Naruto once again arrived at another door, though this one was different. The door held what looked like gemstones above it with the kanjis for strength, knowledge, and courage. He did not really know why, but for some reason he felt some type of connection here. He looked at the door more carefully and saw a scripture on it. He read the scripture thoroughly, but all it did for him was make him confused with its message. You who enter this chamber be warned, those who disturb the rest of the demons shall incite the fury of the guardians. To escape with your life you must complete 4 trials. He who completes every trial will earn the key of fire and the guardian's soul. Beware, for only one whose soul is clear and whose blood is pure can go beyond this door and hope to survive. Death shall slay, with blades from below, those who bear false heritage. What does this mean? He thought, reading the scripture again. I believe that this is a message to any member of this Kazama clan, that Agni and Rudra spoke of, who comes and takes the trials. Kyubi said with Naruto raising an eyebrow, but I have nothing to do with this clan. But then again, I'm not one to turn down a challenge, and who knows, there may be some valuable shit in there. Naruto thought before shrugging his shoulders and pushing the doors open, and walked in on to see that there was another archway. Once more he shrugged his shoulders and walked down said archway and was now standing before an archway that said knowledge in front. He looked at the kanji and saw that it had a scripture under it. You can only trust the knowledge that you would learn in the least likely of places. He scratched his head in confusion before shrugging his shoulders. Without anything else to say, he walked straight into the archway. After all, what harm could that do? Chapter 6 The Trails of Heritage. The boy continued down the dark tunnel with his night vision working at its maximum. Sometime down here, it got so dark and quiet that it was beginning to freak him out, and that was saying something. He continued until he saw a clearing at the end. He walked past it and looked around the room. With only thing there was a pedestal and a statue right behind it. Said pedestal held a weapon, which was golden color and was radiating energy all around it. The weapon had what looked like a face with a horn on it, and the whole frame appeared to be painted sheet metal. Naruto immediately knew that this was a gun, and a nice one at that. Who dares wake me from my slumber? Tell your name or else you shall meet death. The gun said with Naruto looking confused before he shrugged his shoulders. At this point anything was a given, and this was a big exception on that part. So Naruto instead spoke to the gun, which was once again confusing, but it didn't matter at this point. My name is Sparda Namikaze Naruto. What is your name? Naruto asked. My name is Yajirobe. What would make you think that you were worthy of me, when you do not carry the name of Kazama? At the same time, how were you able to dodge the other demons to get here? It's simple really. I just defeated every last one of them to get here. In fact, if it wasn't for certain powers at my disposal, then I wouldn't even be in this location in the first place. Naruto said. He was sure that had certain things not changed at that crucial point in time, then the chance to make change would be impossible to even consider. Interesting. Tell me, what would make you think that you were able to defeat the demons if you weren't born of Kazama blood? Yajirobe asked, with Naruto rubbing his chin. I would say that it wouldn't stay strictly on the lines of blood. If this clan was able to do it and I'm not from this clan, it would mean that you were a member by bond, not by blood. Naruto said. I mean, sure, there were ways to increase your clan's bloodline without the need of multiple wives, but you would need absolute trust that the person holding your bloodline would honor his word, and that was a risk not worth having. Very good answer, Naruto. I'm glad to say that you passed the first test. Yajirobe said with Naruto looking confused. What do you mean that I passed? I didn't even do anything? Naruto asked, only to see the demon gun laugh at that. Yes, you did. You just said is the way of the Kazama clan. They always believed that with no true bloodline to call them clansmen, they allowed in any member that fit the criteria and made them promise to honor the code that the clan has set. I see that code in you, and as such I allow you to use me. Yajirobe said, with Naruto reaching forward and grabbing the gun. When his hand touched the gun, his eyes turned deep green. Naruto simply pointed the gun to the statue that was in front of the pedestal and gripped the trigger. Naruto then saw a white orb appear in front of the firing point before he released the trigger and watched the orb destroy the statue on impact. He gasped at the power that it gave off before the gun simply dispersed and went into his body. He looked around for his new tattoo and saw that it was now between his navel and his chest. It looked like a black upside-down star with 5 points on the open areas and a circle around the star. Naruto kinda felt disappointed that the tattoo looked standard as compared to the others, though personally he liked Nevin's the most. Why thank you, master. You look even more handsome with them. Nevin said, making Naruto look around only to find the green-skinned succubus was nowhere to be found. Nevin? How are you able to speak to me? Oh, you didn't know? Well, I guess that is understandable seeing as how you talk to Kyuubi on an everyday basis, and you are his vessel. Cerberus isn't a talker like you would think. You told Agni and Rudra not to talk, and Dagon refuses to talk to you after you stabbed his tongue. Even though technically you did us all a favor, as he would talk you to death if given the chance. I however am not like them and I can speak to you freely. She said with Naruto nodding. Naruto then walked towards the open doorway and went to the next archway that held the kanji for courage under it. He read the scripture and saw that it said, in order to know your true power, you must stand to face your greatest fear. He was a little skeptical, but after reassuring himself that this was the only way for him to get his ass out of here, he walked through the archway and into his next test. He looked around and saw that it was a giant arena of sorts. He remembered that on the day he was awake during Iruka's history naptime class he taught about the ancient warriors known as gladiators. These gladiators held battles, which in some cases were considered one-man wars, in large places called colosseums, buildings that were built to withstand the war held inside. Naruto felt much marveled in himself at the fact that he was standing in such a place, and couldn't wait for the chance to fight in it. His thoughts were soon ended when he heard a voice behind him. Hello. Han, said the voice behind him, making Naruto freeze for a second and turn around only for his eyes to widen. Behind him was a man wearing the standard Jounin outfit with a white trench coat over it and red flames licking the bottom. However, Naruto wasn't concerned about that. Now he was far more concerned with the man's blonde hair and blue eyes. Blue eyes that held massive amounts of hate and disgust in them. Naruto's could not believe his own eyes. Standing before him was his father, as well as the man responsible not only for the hell in his life but his great power as well, the Yondaime. But how this man was standing here was beyond him. Father, how are you? Before Naruto could answer, he ducked under a kunai slash by his old man, and blocked a kick that Minato sent his way. Don't you dare call me your father. My son died on the day the Kyuubi attacked, and I'll be damned if I call you my son, demon. Minato said with Naruto's eyes widening in shock. How could his own father say that to him? He always heard tales of how the Yondaime was a kind and gentle person to those that has earned respect from him, and when he was angered, you would face wrath far worse than a woman scorned. But the question was, how did he lose that love? But why father? What have I done? Naruto asked, only to duck under another slash and kept dodging. Because you killed my wife and child, the only two things I had in the world. I sacrificed my life for them, I died for them, and what did you do? You killed my wife by taking possession of my son, the only piece that I left in this world. That was I. And I'm going to make you pay for it with your life. Minato said before opening his right hand to reveal a swirling orb of chakra. Naruto's eyes widened seeing that happen, as he never thought that for 1 second that chakra could do that. But he would have to cut his thoughts, as he jumped back and watched the orb destroy the ground he once stood on. Before he could marvel at the destruction it caused, he quickly turned and brought his arms up to block another slash by Minato, but was punched back to the ground and landed on his back. However, he didn't have time to rest, as he placed his hands on the ground and back pushed himself away from the Yondaime, who formed another Rasengan and slammed it on the ground. Naruto looked from his position with shocked eyes that his own father was trying to kill him. In addition, the thing was, he didn't know if he could fight his father. He grabbed his head in confusion, as a large headache built up inside. What should I do? What can I do? I can't fight my own father. Naruto thought as his brain racked against his skull, though he wasn't concerned about that. He was still trying to figure out what he did to lose the love of his father. It was then that his eyes widened. This was his fear, to lose the love of not only his father but that of his hero. He could honestly say that thanks to his father, he had the power that he has wanted for all his life. Sure, it was the result of him being alone, but he knew that his father gave him the Kyuubi because he was the only one worthy of holding the beast. Therefore, he got up from the ground with a huge smirk on his face, as he saw his father stand up from his position. The look on the man's eyes were still cold as ice, but this time Naruto wasn't bothered by it. So I take it, you're ready to fight me now, the Yondaime said in a cold tone. Might as well, can't let my old man think I'm weak. Naruto said, standing tall. Before he could say anything else, Minato appeared before the boy with his fist above his head. Very well then, he said before placing his hand on the boy's head and ruffled his hair. You pass, my son. Minato said with a smile on his face, as Naruto looking confused. But how could I? The whole point of this test was for you to get over the fear you had deep down, of me hating you like the villagers. I can say this to you though, that I don't hate you, seeing as how I'm responsible for a lot of the shit you went through in life. He said with his head down, but he brought it back up with a smile. However, I know you can get through it. After all, you are my son. Minato said, but Dad, how are you here right now? I'm here, because I'm only a representation of your fear. I'm still dead. He said with Naruto looking down in sadness after hearing that. He hoped deep down that his father was alive again, but to hear the man tell him that his wish wasn't true. Don't worry, Naruto, we'll meet again someday, but I have to go, my time here is ending. He said as he began to slowly turn full white. I give this gift to you, my son, and I hope you use it well. Goodbye. Minato said, touching Naruto's forehead that transpierced some of his energy into the boy. Naruto then watched his father turn into a white orb and enter his body, making him buck for a second before he gained knowledge. This was not a devil arm like he thought he would get, but what he received from his father was a new style called Serenity. He had a deep smirk plastered on his face after looking through everything the style gave him. But he also learned something else in his mind, and it didn't involve the style. So that was your gift? Thank you, father. Naruto thought before he took one last glance at the area before he walked to the next archway with a tear trailing his face. Don't worry about it, kid. For what it's worth, your father is one of the only 3 people I've grown to respect more than myself. Kyuubi said with Naruto wiping the tear from his face. Really? Who were the other 2? The first was Sparda, the second was your father, and well, the third is someone that I knew for over 12 years. Kyuubi said with Naruto looking confused before a smirk came to his face. Thanks, Kyuubi. He thought before he continued and saw the last archway held the kanji for strength with the scripture saying to prove your power, an opponent must be the shield that blocks your path. Now face this shield and become your true being in the Kazama clan. Well, I guess this is the last spot I need to go. Naruto thought as he walked off the archway and into the dark tunnel. He continued until he saw a door that was closed and looked locked somewhat. He placed his hands on the door and felt it open completely. He then walked in, but at that second the door shut and he was locked in. Before Naruto could do anything, the door was covered with the same fire seal that covered the gate outside. He scratched his head before turning around and looked around the room he was in. The room looked like a huge ballroom but was major wreck over years of being vacant from people. The gold-plated ceiling had holes in various places with one huge one in the corner. He saw that the floors had dirty green carpeting with what looked like blood on various places and scratches as well. He knew that whatever this test was, it was going to be a big one. His thoughts were confirmed when the room began to shake and a gigantic black claw punched through the wall, followed by 4 more. Naruto heard the loud scream behind the wall as the claws crossed and pulled the wall back into the darkness. Naruto watched with his arms crossed as he watched a set of glowing eyes in darkness before 8's legs came out from the darkness and revealed the creature to Naruto. It looked like a huge, armored spider. 8 massive, clawed legs sprouting from its back instead of its sides, and a long, armored tail that appeared to have a large stinger attached at the end. This giant spider scorpion had a head that almost resembled a human's, if it didn't have about 20 glowing eyes and a huge mouth full of enormous, dagger-like teeth. It also seemed to be wearing some kind of helmet, but it seemed to serve no real purpose other than protection. Overall, to Naruto, he was not impressed. Would you looky here, a nice little snack for me in damn near 90 years. The large Enigmo said with Naruto looking intrigued, only to be stopped by the laughter of Kyuubi in his head. Kit, whatever you do, don't try to go all out for this pathetic excuse of a demon. Kyuubi said with the voices of the other demons in Naruto's collection laughing as well. Yeah, master, this is the demon spider, Han1, the so-called master of the shadows. He mainly depends on his armor and large size to kill his enemies and so-called prey. Sure, that armor may help him, but his underbelly is completely exposed and his greatest weakness. Just attack him with till he's distracted enough and stab him in his belly. Nevin said, you all sound like you know him. I had a run-in on him a while back and used him and the supposed King of Flame Burial as training dummies for that demonic fire jutsu I taught you. Trust me, Kit, hit him with that and he is done. But I should warn you not to use your guns, including your demonic guns. Kyubi said with Naruto scoffing, well, that sucks. Got anything on weakness? The size and armor makes him slow, very slow, so I would say use Yamato on him, mainly. As for the second weakness, it's fire. He can only withstand flames that are produced by a volcano, but he can't take flames created by Amaterasu-sama or Shuka-sama. Just use me when he's exposed his stomach to you, and pour as much fire into him as you can. Kyubi said with Naruto nodding before giving his attention to Hanwon. Human, are you thinking of your last words before I take you out? The Enigmo, now known as Hanwon, said only to see Naruto extended his arm and say Yamato, bringing the okatana to his hands, and wiping his hand through his hair making it spiky. Yeah, just this. Let's rock. He said before the spider raised its legs and sent it down at Naruto as if to kill him in one shot. But Naruto simply jumped back and watched the demon slam his legs on the ground. He then grasped the handle of his sword and called out, summon swords. Just after he said this, 5 swords made of pure chakra formed and begun spinning around him. The swords took the form of broadswords with a pointed skull acting as the tsuba. Naruto then directed the swords towards the demon spider, who brought its 8 legs in front of its body to shield it from the attack. The armor did its job and kept Hanwon safe, but Naruto knew that would happen. Therefore, he began to transfer chakra to his feet, and in a quick burst of speed, he was off. Hanwon raised its leg and sent its tail at the black blurb before him, only to miss badly. Naruto then unsheathed Yamato, and slashed at the tail only for it to bounce off due to the armor. But instead of letting it bother him, he angled his body like a bullet and stabbed into the base of Hanwon's ass, if you could call it that, and slashed it off, making the demon cry out in pain. Hanwon then bucked his back up and flung Naruto away from him as he couldn't feel his tail anymore. He looked up to see Naruto, doing some seals before calling out demonic fire release, black fire dragon jutsu before releasing the huge blast of fire at the Enigmo's body, making it scream out in pain. Kyubi told Naruto that this was by far his best fire technique invented, due to its ability to absorb heat energy and solar energy. Now sadly there was not any solar energy present, but there was heat, and that was enough to make the jutsu very effective. When the flame stopped, Hanwon crawled out and screamed out in pain, damn you, you bastard. I'll kill you. The Enigmo said as he opened his mouth and white energy began to build up. Naruto was intrigued by this and was wondering if he should feel a little impressed. He then saw the demon let loose his attack, which resembled the hyper beam attack from that crappy TV show Pokemon. However, it was a little slow to catch him, so he was able to dodge it easily. He quickly returned Yamato and summoned his great friend Kyubi to his hands. He then placed Kyubi in his left hand and held up his right. This was going to be big. Hanwon, however, was very oblivious to this as he kept firing blast at Naruto, who simply used his superior speed to dodge that attacks until the Enigmo fired one that was far stronger than the previous ones, but he was inside the demon's perimeter and jumped at the demon's humanoid head. Said demon looked only to see what Naruto was holding. In Naruto's right hand was a blue orb with what looked like chakra strings swirling around, but Naruto was too busy smirking when he reeled his arm back. I think my father said it best when he named this move Rasengan, he yelled, slamming the orb in the demon's face. Naruto marveled when the attack hit the demon and caused its legs to lift off the ground and hit the wall behind it. Naruto then returned to his right hand and walked towards the downed Enigmo slowly, his blade igniting to red flames while slowly turning blue. Last chance to give up. I refuse to give up to the likes of you. Now die. Hanwon said before lunging at Naruto, to devour him. TSSH, fool. Naruto said before the flames that surrounded his blade turned full blue and turned into a wild flame tsunami. Naruto then swung in a wide-angle arc, calling out demonic fire release, scar of the blue tsunami. The flames flew at Hanwon and consumed him in the flames, thus making the Enigmo cry out at the large amount of pain its body was currently experiencing. And what was Naruto doing right now? He had out a stick with marshmallows on it, which he got from somewhere, and cooked them in the flames and whistling a tone called "Someone's in the Kitchen with Dina." And, real old school, before slowly eating them while the spider demon continued screaming until its body exploded and a white orb came out of the flames. Naruto took that as his cue and extended his hands to it, and white orb flew to his hands, and in a flash of light, Naruto now had his new weapon, and unlike the others, this one looked very demonic. They now formed a pair of gauntlets and greaves that were dark brown in color and were hard like Hanoni's armor. Naruto looked at his shoulders and saw that they formed two demon-like skulls with yellow eyes, and the teeth wasn't horizontal like in a human's mouth but vertical, and both sides had what looked like wings on both sides. Naruto then looked at his hands and saw that they now had sharp claws as well as sharp claws on his feet, meaning that he could probably scale walls or make a quick kill. He then took off his headband and saw that his eyes were now dark brown matching the devil arm. He then returned the newest weapon in his collection and then looked at his body and saw that his newest tattoo did not form on anywhere completely visible by his eyes, but instead of one tattoo, it was two but the same nonetheless. The new one looked the same as the shoulder pads going along his ribcage and continued down to his waist and the wings frailing down the left and right side of his back and navel. Once he took it all in, he saw the ground shake before him and what looked like a mirror came out with stair leading up to it. What the hell is this? Naruto asked himself. Maybe it's your way out of this hellhole. Kyuubi said with Naruto shrugging his shoulders before he walked up the staircase and into the mirror. It felt like some type of water going in, but he didn't care that much about it as he continued walking to the other side. He came out the other end and saw that he was out of the hellhole, but was not out of the place that seemed to have a never-ending amount of levels to fucking climb. He was now within a forest that had a shrine in the center of the field for something. He looked around and liked the way this place looked, but saw a bed in a corner on the other side of the shrine that had a bundle in it. He figured that someone was sleeping there and he didn't want to wake the person up. However, that was put on hold when he felt something behind him. He saw that it was a large silver dragon with silver bat-like wings flapping in the wind. Who are you? Naruto asked. My name is Saiyan, and you have just become the newest holder of the Dragon Clan contract. Chapter 7. It was written. Naruto stared at the large creature in shock. The Dragon Clan? Him? He didn't even know how he got here, and yet he was now the holder of a summoning contract. I'm Saiyan, right? How could I become the holder of the Dragon Clan contract, when I barely even know where I am? You became the holder of the contract because you went through the trails, very well if I might add. It's customary for all Kazama clan members to hold the contract with the dragons, which is where they got the nickname, the Dragon Riders of the Mountain. You gained the contract because of that one fact that you have proven to be Kazama clan material. However, tell me, boy, how is it that you hold more than one soul within your body? Saiyan said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. Dragons are able to see the aura of life and the balance in it. They are well known as being one of the strongest demon clans in the world next to the Kitsune and the Inu, of course. Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding. You see, Saiyan, I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune and the descendant of the Dark Knight Sparda. Kyuubi counts as one and the rest are all devil arms with their sprits intact. Naruto said with Saiyan nodding. I should have known, but tell me, are you in any way possible related to Kazama Sotachi? Saiyan asked. I don't know who that is, so I can't answer that. Naruto said with the dragon showing off a grin on his face. I see, so the split was successful then. That's good to know. Saiyan said with Naruto looking shocked. Split? What split? Naruto said sounding frantic. I'm sorry, boy. I'm afraid that I don't know all the details, as all I know that this clan left 90 years ago and joined an alliance with some guy named Uchiha Madara. Saiyan said with Naruto hearing the Kyuubi growl. Kid, I never did tell you why I attacked the village, did I? Kyuubi said with Naruto giving his full attention to his fox companion. No, you didn't. Well, it was all due to the man named Uchiha Madara. You see, about 15 years ago, my den was attacked by him and a large group of shinobi, including one that was a pale-skinned snake-like man and another with his eyes looking like the Sage of the Six Paths. I fought and killed all but those three, with Madara losing of his eyes, the snake-like man using something called the Immortality Jutsu, and the last man, I simply used my chakra to poison him by having him slowly lose his ability to move his body and lose strength. But before I could finish them all off, that man used something called the Chibaku Tensei, in which it encased me in a moon-like prison, and Madara simply used his Sharingan to possess me. After about 5 years, the next thing I knew I was trapped in a kid's belly. Kyuubi said, with Naruto looking surprised before his face became serious. Well, at least I now know where to start. Naruto thought before he looked towards the giant dragon and nodded his head. I accept your offer to be the next dragon summoner. Naruto said, as he knew deep down, he was going to need as much power as he could get, and dragons were a guaranteed help. Very well. Please hold out your right hand. I need to give you the mark of the dragon. The large dragon said, with Naruto nodding, and put his right hand above his head. Saiyan then placed right index claw on Naruto's hand and began to draw a dragon symbol on his right hand. Naruto felt the need to bite his lip, as he felt the claw literally dig into his hand and the skin move, but he could feel the power that the dragon placed into the symbol. Soon the dragon pulled its talon back, and Naruto looked at his hand and looked at the new dragon symbol on his hand. That mark now bonds you with the Dragon Clan, and you are now able to summon us freely. Be sure to summon the king when you are able to get your test. Saiyan said before he left in a puff of black smoke, and took the light that was once in the shrine, thus covering the area in darkness. Naruto looked at his hand once more before he was about to leave, only to hear someone groan before looking back and saw the person that was in the bed was now awake. The girl looked around and found no one but Naruto standing at the shrine, looking out in a daze. Hey you, who are you and where are we? The girl asked, with Naruto turning to the girl. I don't know really, I just got here like 10 seconds ago and I'm already confused. My name's Naruto, by the way. Naruto said, looking the girl over. He had to say that she is cute, with her light blonde hair and clear blue eyes, and was wearing priestess-like clothing. The girl looked at him as if she'd seen him before. His appearance? I felt like I've seen him before. My name is Nodoka. But how did you get here exactly? Nodoka asked, standing beside Naruto, while trying to remember where she's seen him. If you're the princess, then that means that my mission to find you has been accomplished. He said before seeing the little girl look at him in shock. Your mission? How was finding me your mission? I was sent here by the Sandane to come and find you after you went missing a while ago. I actually thought that you were in this clan home that I just came out of, but now that I've found you we can get out of here. Naruto said, with Nodoka nodding. However, I would have to move at my usual speed, so I would have to carry you on my back. Naruto said, with the little girl blushing a little before nodding. Naruto then bent down on one and allowed the girl to climb on his back, who quickly wrapped her arms around his neck and felt Naruto grabbed hold of her legs. You ready? Naruto asked, with the little girl nodding before the boy took off at high speed, with the little girl holding on tight. The former blonde and Nodoka were now racing through the forest at high speed. They were currently just talking to one another about their lives and what happened to them. Naruto told her about his past and how he had to struggle all his life, while Nodoka told him about her mother and how she was beloved in her home by the villagers. Her mother's name is Amatsu, and she was one of the main reasons why the little girl could not wait to become the leader of her village and protect the village with her powers. Speaking of which, when Naruto asked what kind of powers they were, she stated that they were telepathy and that the power is extremely hard to master on your own. She also said that on a few rare occasions that the power would help her be able to see into the future, though they were never accurate on what they showed. She claimed that when the time came and she mastered her powers high enough, she could control the amount of visions she receives. After that, the conversation became silent, but as they ran, Naruto began to feel that something was strange. It was as if something was pulling him towards a different location than what he was going for. He did not know why, but he had the feeling that he was being directed back to the clan house he just left. Indeed, he was right when the house came back into view, but there was some type of dark barrier over the lighthouse and the small houses as well. Naruto, what is that? Nodoka asked, with Naruto stopping in front of compound. I don't know, but I got the feeling I'm about to find out. Naruto said before the barrier opened up and brought them both in. Naruto woke up after he blacked out for a second and looked around to see that he was in nothing but darkness, with the only form of light being the ground on the bottom, which looked like lava in a way. He stood up, looked around the area, and saw Nodoka was in the air with a bubble around her and said girl was pounding on the barrier in front of her. Naruto took out Blood Fang and fired several rounds at the barrier, but to no avail. They didn't work. Well, that's a bit strange. Naruto said, getting ready to attack again, only to be stopped by familiar voices. So the Sparda boy survived. Can't say that I'm surprised, but it still angers me so. The voice with the deep tone said, with Naruto looking around. Well, if it isn't the Three Stooges rearing their ugly, voices again. Naruto said, hearing a growl from them, that's it. I've had enough of your insignificance in our presence. You must be punished. The stuttering voice said, with Naruto smirking up a storm. WWWL do SS something about it? Naruto said, with the voice growling at him, that's it. Released them upon this disrespectful brat. The voice said, with Naruto's smirk still on his face. He then heard the sound of breaking glass, as the demons Naruto faced before coming to the tower appeared before him, each holding their signature scythe blades in their hands. Naruto simply summoned Yamato to his hands and simply took a tight hold of the handle. He then vanished from thin air before reappearing behind another one, with his sword behind his back. The demon then split diagonally in half before exploding in sand. Naruto then slashed a couple more demons and was not finding a challenge in either one. Is this all you got? I had far better challenges on your first punishment. Naruto said, cutting of another demon's head before stabbing another through his stomach. You want a challenge, brat? Fine, then we will give you a challenge. Release the abyss. The old voice said, finally showing himself. Naruto then heard the sound of another glass breaking, but didn't see what came until a huge tentacle came out of nowhere. Luckily, he was able to jump back far enough in time to dodge the tentacle, unlike the demons he was facing, as they were all destroyed by the tentacle. Naruto looked upwards, to see a strange beast come out of the shadows from the ceiling. The beast had 3 dragon-like heads and a lot of tentacles to use against him. It was with this beast appearance that Naruto could only say one thing: how the fuck did I get into this shit? Nodoka gasped at hearing the words Naruto just spoke. She remembered having a dream about a white-haired boy, fighting a giant creature with no amount of fear, but before he could have a chance to beat it, he was captured by the monster and was about to be killed before her vision ended. She wanted the boy to live, she wanted the boy to come out of this without any harm done to him, but she couldn't do that with her trapped in this barrier. She then took off the bell that was given to her by her mother and began to pound against barrier with the bell. The bell seemed to be working as cracks began to form, but she saw that she had to hurry as Naruto was now in the air using his strange black fire jutsu and destroyed one of its heads. With a few more hits to the barrier, it broke completely and she was now running as fast as her little feet could take her to save the boy, but she was too late. Naruto was caught and the demon was now prepared to send one of its tentacles through Naruto's chest. Naruto was all she could say as she closed her eyes and prayed the boy would be okay. The white-haired boy was now fully aware that he was at the mercy of the demon's attack, and was now trying to get his arms out from the binds that held him, but for some reason the hit never came. He then opened his eyes, and saw that a blonde figure was now holding the tentacle with one hand, while the other was pointed towards Naruto. Gee son, do I have to keep saving your ass? The blonde said with Naruto gasping. Father? Chapter 8, like father, like son. Father? Naruto said, seeing the back of his father's coat before him. The white-haired boy could stare in shock as his father protected him from the giant's beast's attack. He was even more surprised when he suddenly felt a pain hit his stomach and was shot back down to the ground and hit said ground hard. When he got up, he saw his dad standing in front of him with a smile on his face and his arm extended. I told you I would see you again, Minato said with Naruto grabbing his right arm. He was sure that it was broken but could feel Kyuubi repairing the limb. Father, how are you here again? I thought you were joking when you said we'll meet again. He said on to have his head ruffled. Well, actually I wasn't. Before my soul disappeared after the test, I transferred as much chakra as I could into your body, and once you were in enough danger I would appear before you as your shield. He said, hearing the beast screech while trying to attack them, only to hit nothing but air. That's funny, you would think that after the first one, he would just wait. Minato said before turning his attention back to his son, who appeared to be much better now. So you're only back temporarily? Naruto asked with Minato nodding. Well, this sucks. Why do I keep thinking you're back permanently and you have to go back? Naruto said with Minato laughing to himself. I'm sorry Naruto, but I just can't. The seal is designed so that I remain within the Shinigami stomach, no matter how much I want to leave and be here with you and see you rise to greatness like I know you will. But I couldn't find a seal that could possibly have the same amount of strength as that one did, no less with the amount of time I had to make it. Minato said with Naruto sighing. It's okay Dad. I guess I just got selfish, but it will pass over. Naruto said before he got a serious look on his face. Now tell me Dad, how do I stop this monster? Naruto asked, seeing the demon slam its tentacle into the barrier, but to no avail. It didn't work. You'll have to use the style that I gave you. Minato said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. Serenity? But how can I use it when I barely know how to use my new devil arms? Naruto said with Minato placing his index finger on Naruto's forehead. I'll help you learn it manually. This will give you a slight headache, but you and I will have a small fusion before you know how to use the style. Also Naruto, know this, weakness is only a matter of thought. You are only strong if you allow yourself to be strong. Now let's say we kill this beast once and for all. Minato said with Naruto finding a huge smile on his face. This was going to be big. Nodoka watched, with a heavy heart, as the beast kept assaulting the boy's only means of defense. She saw the boy about to be killed before the tentacle was halted and the boy was now on the ground, where the beast continued to attack the boy's barrier only to see it explode outward and sent the beast back a little, and saw Naruto stand tall, with silver-like energy surrounding the boy. She then saw the beast try to send another tentacle at Naruto, only for the boy to hold up his right arm and call out Serenity. The tentacle was then blasted away from the boy. Naruto had a deep smirk plastered on his face, as he brought up his right arm and called out Rebellion with the broadsword returning to his hand. Naruto then ran towards the beast holding the blade in its stinger position, and stabbed the downed tentacle and sliced it clean off, making the beast screech before sending another tentacle at him, but Naruto held up his left arm and executed the same move, which blasted the tentacle away with the powerful force it held. The white-haired boy then placed the sword on his back, and ran towards the demon's body, which kept trying to attack him. Naruto dodged all the strikes and hopped into the air before holding out both arms towards the beast, which sent one of its head at him only to implode within itself and explode outwardly, when Naruto used his Serenity technique and caused the head to explode. So that's Serenity's power. The ability to push and pull the force of gravity itself, nice. Naruto thought, as he watched the demon's head fall to the ground, leaving only one to fend for itself. Naruto, we need to end this quickly. My chakra is almost out and you can only use this move 2 more times before you're done. Minato said in celestial form, which was slowly fading away. Naruto nodded to his father and spread both his arms, shoulder length apart. In his right hand, he began to form a Rasengan, while facing his left towards the ceiling. Minato's form then placed his hands around the Rasengan, and transfers his power into it. Nodoka saw the orb in Naruto's hands glow bright silver and illuminated the darkness around them. Naruto then used his Serenity technique to push himself off the ceiling and flew at the demon head-on, at full speed. Naruto, you must be very careful when using the Serenity move. Right now, you can only use it a total of 4 times a day, but the more you train in it, you'll be able to use it an unlimited amount of time. But for now, never go over that limit. If you do, you'll die. Minato instructed, now side by side with his son, with their Rasengan between them as they neared the demon's body. Father-son, they each yelled as they landed on the demon's body and slammed the orb into it, making the demon cry out in pain. Rasengan, Rasengan, they called, with Naruto using Serenity one last time in order to seal the deal. The demon screamed out in pain, before it fell over, dead. Naruto looked forward as the demon's body began to disincarnate, while his father slowly began to disappear in the wind. Naruto gave one final goodbye to his dad, before he vanished and Naruto was once more left alone. Naruto then saw a white orb appear when the demon's body was gone. But this one had a very strange aura to it, as it looked as though it was surrounded in darkness. However, seeing as how it was a new power, he held up his hands up and took the power in. The second it came in his body, it had a very strange reaction to him. He felt deep down, darker. He felt a slight desire to kill more than ever, and punish those that has hurt him. But that wasn't the only thing that he felt, as knowledge came into his head. This power was called Heart of Darkness, which gave him the ability to manipulate shadows to a certain degree as well as use a good amount of techniques that came in conjunction with the power. It seems like this is really just an addition to my affinity with darkness and with a number of techniques to go with it. But for some reason, I can't help but think that I need to be careful when using this power. Naruto thought before seeing Nodoka run towards him, looking surprised at what she just saw. Naruto-kun, what just happened, are you alright? Nodoka asked, while trying not to look closely at the boy's body. Oh yeah, I'm good. Come on, let's get the hell out of here. Naruto said before picking up Nodoka and sat her on his shoulders, which she enjoyed doing before Naruto took off into the distance and away from this crazy. He left the clan house without looking back, not seeing the figure appear near the gate with a smug smirk on his face before he too walked in. It appears that the boy has grown stronger. This will make things far more interesting as the time goes by, but for now I need to wipe out this place before someone else discovers it. The figure said as he walked into the clan house. Nobody would ever know what happened in this place, as a massive shadow overtook the area and sucked in all the buildings into its eternal abyss. My, that is quite the mission you've been on, Naruto-kun and Miss Nodoka, I presume? He asked with the little princess nodding her head. That is correct, Hokage-sama, though I was surprised that I didn't arrive sooner than I should have in regards to my coming here. Nodoka said, as she still didn't fully remember how she woke up in the shrine near that strange and old clan home, nor the fact that she met a Konoha shinobi she had only met through her telepathic powers, but was still happy to know that Naruto would live. But she couldn't wait to go home to her mother and her people. Well, all that matters is that you're safe here. Now in regards to where you're staying, I would try to find you a hotel as soon as possible if you would like. Sarutobi said with Nodoka looking at Naruto for a quick second before looking at Hiruzen with a small blush on her face. If it's okay with you, Okage-sama, I would like to stay with Naruto-sama. She said, blushing at her fuck up. A fuck up that Naruto and Hiruzen caught, though Naruto had a deep smirk on his face. What is it about me that the ladies love? Well, I think the tattoos will be a major boost for me now. Naruto thought, looking at all his tattoos that were now all over his body. Hiruzen simply stroked his chin. Okay, I can allow that. Very well then, I'll have you registered in Naruto-kun's address, and Naruto-kun. Hiruzen then handed Naruto a scroll. That there is your payments for the 2 B-rank missions you have taken. He said with Naruto raising an eyebrow. 2? I only took 1, old man, so how could I possibly take 2? Because 1 payment is from the mission you just took and the second payment is the incident from Mizuki a while back. He said with Naruto smirking. I didn't pay you when you graduated because your certification didn't go through until a month ago. I'm just paying you double for what you just did. He said with Naruto laughing in his head. I'm going to make it rain in this village. Naruto thought, as he imagined taking all of the money he could and simply throw it into the village and watch the people fight like chickens to get a couple of bucks. Okay, old man, I'll see you later, but for now, I need to show Nodoka around the village. Naruto said before picking Nodoka up and sat her on his shoulders. Giddy up, horsey. Nodoka said as Naruto made the sounds of a horse before leaving the room with the old man sighing. What I wouldn't kill to be young again, or at least to have you back here, my Suhiko Haim. Sarutobi said, thinking of his late wife and all the fun they had in the past together, with them raising their 2 sons and enjoying life. The twosome raced from building to building, while Naruto took the time to glide in the air and enjoy the hang time. Nodoka, however, was a little afraid of heights, but felt that being scared around Naruto would be embarrassing, so she tried her best to be brave. As the dope ran to Naruto's apartment, the white-haired boy showed the girl around the village and the spots he normally goes to. After a while of sightseeing, they made it to Naruto's place and she had to say that it looked impressive on the outside. Naruto landed on the wall next to his apartment's balcony and walked right through the glass door, with Nodoka walking in as well. Welcome to my humble abode, Naruto said before removing his jacket and was now shirtless, which Nodoka caught herself glancing at him multiple times with her blush growing by the second. So Naruto, you live here all by yourself? She asked with Naruto nodding. The white-haired boy did some seal and closed his eyes. A blue tint covered his body and soon all the tattoos he gained disappeared, except for the Rebellion and Yamato tattoos on his arm and the Kyuubi tattoo on his back, making him look clean and neat once more. Nodoka was confused as she figured the tattoos natural, but to see them disappear confused her greatly. In case you're wondering, the tattoos are the result of the demonic energy that I have absorbed into my body. I just simply repressed them, so that I can use my weapons later on, Naruto said, but I can still bring them back out by just simply allowing their powers to come forth. But other than that, I don't have natural tattoos, Naruto said while looking at his arms and saw that Rebellion and Yamato was still present, and if push comes to shove, Kyuubi was as well. Though I still don't understand how you three never leave. Oh well, Naruto thought before he took Nodoka to the guest room. The guest room was about the size of any normal apartment-sized room, except Naruto's was bigger due to the master bedroom status it had. Nodoka liked how big the bed was and was happy with the view she had of the village, even though she would only be here for a little while. When she turned to ask the white-haired boy a question, she saw that he changed into a different look. This time he wore a black mesh shirt under a black vest with a few pockets in the front with red pants that had small pockets on the side and had his headband tied around his waist like a belt. She also saw that he had the Yamato tucked into the headband, though for what reason she did not know. Come on, let me take you to the best place this village has to offer in food, he said with the princess nodding her head and followed behind the boy. This was going to be quite fun. Naruto now stood in the outskirts of the village, wearing the same getup as before. He was busy trying out his new power, Heart of Darkness. He was busy trying to master one of the 5 techniques that were given to him by the style, though it proved to work very well with the Yamato. The technique was called Shadow Streak, from Burning Truth. Thanks bro, and it was a good move. It allows him to manipulate his image in the form of afterimages and would follow you as if you were moving at super high speeds. They could also individually attack with the creator, so that way he can use 3 attacks instead of 1. He could not wait to master this move, as that would make fighting a lot more fun and faster, but after a while of training, the time came for when Naruto would bring out the boss and introduced himself. He bit his hand and quickly did some seal before calling out summoning jutsu, dragon, and the whole area was covered in black smoke covered the area and a huge black dragon stood there at about 200 foot tall. The dragon had huge black bat-like wings that if fluttered would possibly summon a wind so powerful that it would blow the village over. The dragon then looked at Naruto with its huge gold eyes and spoke with a booming voice. I take it that you are the new holder of my clan's contract after nearly 100 years? The giant said with Naruto nodding yes. My name is Namake's Sparda Naruto, honorary member of the Kazama clan and descendant of the Dark Knight Sparda, Naruto said with the dragon looking curious. That's quite a resume you have on your hands, boy. I would say that you're like some kind of powerhouse built with very delicate care, the dragon said, as it could read Naruto aura, and could sense a lot of power held within the boy, but the question now was what type of power was the boy hiding? Not really. Due to a recent turn of events, I am now gaining more power by the day and I need to go through a large amount of training in order for me to keep full control of it. Other than that, I guess I am a powerhouse, Naruto said, starching the back of his head. Unbeknownst to him, due to his position, the giant dragon spoke. I barely know you, yet I like you already, kid. I would say that you are indeed a worthy summoner of my clan and deserves to be able to summon us. However, I think that there are some things I need to tell you, the dragon said with Naruto looking intrigued. What would that be? Naruto asked with his arms folded. In my clan, all dragons have the unique ability to manipulate all the elements at our disposal, but in some cases most dragons can only use fire along with a special trait that they're given from birth. Such as my 4-time great-grandson, Cyan. He is what is known as a Stardust Dragon, because he has the ability to fly out of the atmosphere and into orbit, as well as use the cosmic energy the world gives us. Some dragons can use darkness, fire and wind to make dark flames, while others just cannot use any type of element. I am of some odd dragon classes, as I can manipulate the elements, but I can only use dark flame as my main element. You would have to be very cautious about summoning us and make your choices wisely. Is there anything else you need? Yes. I thought that I would need a test to take in order to summon you without worry. Naruto asked, with the dragon nodding that is true, but seeing as how you impressed me beforehand, I'll just simply say that you did take my test and beat it. Goodbye, the dragon said, with Naruto nodding before back-flipping off the dragon's nose and watched as black smoke covered tea again. Naruto then opened his hands and called out Serenity, Push, and began to slowly descend back to the ground. He then summoned Pandora out before he turned it into its bike form before getting on and rode back to the village. Today was a good day. Chapter 9. Crossing the line. Naruto trained hard in his personal training ground that he found near the outskirts of the village. The place was nothing more than a small meadow with a lake and a waterfall, and grass surrounding the area, making it very peaceful. He was currently working on his devil arms, but mainly on Nevin. These devil arms was not only powerful, but helps him learn some new type of skills. From Cerberus, he learned how to wield nunchucks and how to use them properly. This would be a bit better for him, as the trichucks were hard enough to master as it is. Agni and Rudra taught him how to use a two-handed sword style, meaning that he did not have to use Agni and Rudra alone, for there might be a time when he couldn't use his devil arms, and knowing that helped him greatly. Onigimo taught him how to scale walls and jumped higher than he normally could. Then came his personal favorite Nevin, much to her pleasure deep down. Naruto loved using this weapon, as it taught him how to use a guitar, a skill that he has desired to gain for a long time, but just never got around to try to find a teacher. The guitar taught him how to use the strings in any type of succession, such as the stroke, the rift, and other details that he could really explain. He loved this weapon a lot, and couldn't stop working on it. He would sometimes work with this devil arm for damn near a day. A whole day of playing some songs that he knew, such as Do for Love by Tupac, Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, Land of Confusion by Disturbed, and Why by ION. He played the weapon with a quick stroke of his hand. He sent the blast of lightning-infused bats towards a tree, and watched the attack destroy it in a glorious blaze of fire, which he put out of course. Naruto gasped at how powerful the weapon was, and found a smirk on his face once more. This is far too much fun for him. He began to play a rift of 50 notes, all in succession of each other, and during the process, the bats surrounded him in a lightning twister and destroyed most of the ground him. When he opened his dark purple silted eyes, he pointed towards one of the rock faces under the waterfall. With that hand gesture alone, that the bats sent a blast made of pure lightning that nearly destroyed the whole waterfall, had Naruto not sent the attack over the waterfall. He was marveled at the intensity the blast held and how much energy it took in. You like that, master? That is the extent of my power, but you haven't seen what my full power can do. Nevin said, with Naruto smirking to himself, as he returned Nevin to his body, returning the tattoo before it disappeared. I look forward to that. Naruto thought before biting his thumb and summoned a dragon. The dragon was about his height, only a bit taller, and was light blue in color. It was currently standing on all fours with its wings located near its lower back, which looked great for gliding in the air and flying at quick speeds. He walked up to the dragon and petted its head. How are you doing, Saphira? I hope you're doing well. He said, with the dragon lowering its neck. Could have been better. There's not much to do in the summoning realm, and the only type of excitement I get is when you summon me for rides or to help you prank from the air above. Saphira said as Naruto got on her back, as she raised her wings and took off into the air. Well, don't worry. Soon you and I will be able to fight together, but for now let's just enjoy this. He said, with the dragon screeching loudly, before it increased its speed and made the flight much more enjoyable. Naruto and Saphira arrived to his training grounds to see his teammates were still waiting for their tardy sensei to come. He sighed inwardly, as he watched his teammates glare at him because he was late. Little did they know that he figured that if Kakashi were always 3 hours late, then he would arrive after 2 hours and 55, of which the team was supposed to arrive. This gave him extra time to train, fly with Saphira, have breakfast, and would still be on time and would only have to wait 5 minutes before their sensei arrived. They did not like that one bit. "Naruto, you're late again." Sakura screeched, trying to punch him, only for him to grab her hand and sighed for the last time. "Pinky, I am early since Kakashi is here. Also, when will you get it through your head?" he said as he placed foot behind Sakura's feet and pushed the girl forward, making her trip over his foot and land on her ass. "That I am stronger than you. I can hurt you 20 times more than you could to me," Naruto said, walking over her down position and walked towards the bridge's post, not seeing the glare Sakura was giving the back of his head, hoping that she could find some way to make Naruto her puppet again, and personal punching bag to take her anger out on. Naruto stood at the bridge with Saphira next to him. He scratched the dragon's head while Sasuke was glaring at him. "Dobe, how is it that you are in command of that dragon?" Sasuke asked, as he saw how the dragon was appealing to Naruto, like she was his master, and he felt that he deserved that dragon far more than Naruto did, because I earned her respect and she named me her master when I saved her on my mission a few weeks back. Naruto said, since it was the truth, but just twisted so he could still be telling the truth and not lying. "Give her to me," he said, with the dragon growling at him, only to feel its head being scratched a little more, telling her that he got it. "No," was all Naruto said as Sasuke gave him a growl. "Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said give me the dragon, Dobe," he said, with Sakura telling Naruto to do what he said, only to back off when the dragon growled at her. Sasuke would have continued had it not been for the barrel of his gun aimed at his face, with the finger threatening to pull the trigger and he himself telling the boy to shut his trap. This was the scene Kakashi arrived to when he finally arrived to his training ground. It seemed that Naruto sensed him, when he put his gun away and looked at his location. "About time you showed up, Cyclopes. I got bored with duck ass and Pinky MC flat shirt," Naruto said, making his teammates growl at that comment, though it was quickly wiped out when Saphira growled at them. "Okay. Today we have another D-rank mission, so let's go," he said, with the team following him, with Saphira coming along and walked next to Naruto. The figure dashed towards freedom at the highest speed possible for him, desperate to escape his pursuers. As he made his escape, he used the darkness of his surroundings to the best of his ability. He would not be caught and sent back into that hell, not today, and never again. Panting heavily, he stopped for breath, wearily searching his surroundings before sighing, having not located his pursuers. "Target located. Raven in position," a voice whispered quietly into an earpiece, the owner eyeing its target. "Cherry Blossom in position," a second voice whispered through gritted teeth. "White Noise with target in hand. Returning to the rendezvous point," came the third voice, with the sound of purring coming through the intercom link. This was the 5th time that Team 7 had to take on this mission, and they were tired of it. Well, Sasuke and Sakura was, as the cat would scratch and claw them to the point of no return, but whenever Naruto came by, the cat would jump right into his arms as if he was the beast's master. "I think Tora needs a new home. I know I'll give him to Ayam-chan, since she said she loves cats," he thought, petting the cat, who purred loudly, showing how much it liked the boy. He quickly made 2 shadow clones and gave them their instructions to make sure that this would be the last time all the Genin teams would take on a mission like this. Within 2 minutes, Team 7 now stood before the Hokage, who was glad that the daimyo's wife had her cat back in her hands and was out of this village. So far the cat ran away 20 times, with each Genin team taking a good amount of those missions, but after seeing Naruto's smirk he could tell that the boy already had something planned, and it wouldn't be pretty. "Okay, Cell 7, seeing as how you have completed your 25th D-rank mission, you are now eligible to take on a C-rank mission," he said, with the team instantly accepting the mission, as they were tired of the D-rank mission they had to take. There was one where they had to babysit about 5 kids, and all of them cried whenever Sakura and Sasuke were around, but Naruto would always do better than them. The 2 Genin would never understand how a boy, who was stupid that many people thought he couldn't read, was able to take great care of 5 kids, who would always giggle and laugh whenever he was around them, or would want to be picked up by him. Little did they know, Nevin gave him knowledge not just on how to satisfy any women but also how to be a great father as well. Naruto just simply applied that knowledge and used it to help make those kids enjoy themselves. Alright then, your team will be responsible for the escort and protection of a man named Tazuna. You are to escort him to Wave Country and guard him there until the bridge he is building over there is completed. The most you can expect on this mission is a small band of bandits from time to time. You are to pack for a 2-week stay in Wave, but for now, I would like you to meet your client. Let him in. Sarutobi said with the guards opening the door. Team 7 was now on their way to the country of Wave, with Sasuke on Tazuna's right, Sakura on his left, Kakashi by his side, and Naruto in the front. Currently the group were doing their own thing, with Sakura asking Tazuna what Wave was like, which led to Kakashi talking about the shinobi nations and how the leaders with the title of Kage in their countries were known as some of the most powerful people to exist. Sakura then went on to ask question after question on how the system of shinobis worked and all that other shit that Naruto didn't truly care about. He had a feeling that something was not right in this situation, as he gained the danger sense from Kyuubi. Whenever he would go somewhere, he would get extreme feeling of weirdness or danger. In addition, right now it was the feeling of weirdness, and indeed his sense proved itself to be right again, as they walked by a puddle in the middle of the road. Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna did not think anything of it. However, Naruto and Kakashi could easily tell it was a low Chunin level genjutsu. It's summer and it hasn't rained in this area for 2 weeks. That puddle is not even in the shade. I sense 2 chakra signatures underground below it, mid-Chunin at best. Meh, beggars can't be choosers. Naruto looked at Kakashi. Kakashi, of course, knew about the shinobi hidden underneath the puddle, and he knew that Naruto knew. Naruto started making subtle hand signs, and Kakashi instantly understood. ANBU signs? How the hell does he know ANBU signs? Kakashi thought, but responded with more signs. The hand signs translated roughly into this: 2 Chunin under the puddle. I know. Should I engage? No, wait. They may have information that we need. Very well. Naruto and Kakashi continued like nothing was wrong. After they passed the puddle, 2 figures dressed in cameo pants and tattered cloaks arose from the water. They both had black hair and wore gas masks. They had wicked clawed gauntlets on opposite arms that were connected with a chain made of small interlocking blades. They had on forehead protectors with the hidden mist symbol and a slash going through the middle, identifying them as Nuke Nin from Kirigakure no Sato, the village hidden in the mist. The 2 then went on the offensive, with one throwing the other towards the group, but Naruto was already prepared for it. Before any of them could see it, Naruto quickly spun around and fired off 2 rounds from Reaper and another 2 rounds off Angel. The bullets sailed between Sasuke and Tazuna, and between Tazuna and Sakura. The bullets each separated to where 2 flew towards the chain and broke it in half, before the other bullets hit both men in different places. For the man airborne, he was hit in his stomach, while the other was hit between his eyes, knocking him out. Naruto then put his guns away and summoned Kyuubi to his hands and reappeared in front of the man that he shot in the stomach, within 1 second flat. He then removed the man's gauntlet arm and stabbed him through the same spot he shot him in. The man coughed up blood through his face mask, but before he died, Naruto whispered to him, "I'm sorry. May you rest in peace." Before igniting his sword and burning the body, but not before removing the man's head, as the head was guaranteed big bank in the shinobi world for people that had nuke ninja status. This all happened in no less than 10 seconds, and Kakashi was now in absolute shock at what just happened. Naruto just single-handedly taken out 2 Chunin level ninja in less than 5 seconds. The fastest time he has ever seen a ninja get taken out was by the hands of his sensei several years ago before the death of his best friend. His sensei had moved in no less than 5 seconds and took out 5 ninjas within that time. He quickly regained his composure when he saw Naruto tie one of the Chunin from mist and woke him up with smelling salts. "Ugh, what happened?" the Nuke Nin said groggily. "You were defeated, and your brother is dead," Naruto said. The man's eyes snapped open. What? Then he saw the white-haired kid carrying his brother's severed head. "Oh my god, big bro," he choked. Naruto snorted. "Don't worry, you'll be joining him soon," Naruto said as he tightened his hold on his sword and making fire surround his sword once more. The man's eyes closed, as he accepted his fate at the hands of a more skilled opponent. Granted, said opponent was much younger than him, but an opponent nonetheless. Who are you? He asked. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. May you and your brother rest in peace. With that, Naruto swung his blade at the ex-Mistman's neck and sent him to join his brother in the afterlife. The boy then removed his gauntlet arm before he stabbed his sword into the man's body and once again burning it to ash. Naruto then pulled out a scroll and sealed the head and arms of the two brothers into it. They would be very useful in the future. When Naruto turned, he saw that his whole team was looking at him with shock, surprise, and fear. For Kakashi it was surprise, as he never once thought that Naruto was killed before, but to see that the boy was not affected by their deaths meant that it was yet another mystery to be solved about the boy. For Tazuna it was pure shock that a boy barely older than his grandson was able to kill another human being. But it was thanks to the kind of past that he was able to suffice the idea of a boy being able to kill someone. Though honestly speaking, he was a ninja and that was probably what was expected of them. For Sasuke and Sakura it was pure shock. They had just seen their teammate kill two Chunin-level ninja without an ounce of remorse or pity for those he took from the earth. Sasuke felt like he had just seen his brother once again kill his father before him and kidnap his mother all those years ago. Sakura, however, being a part of a clan that had little to no shinobi involvement, was now beyond shocked and scared out of her mind. She did not know what to think of Naruto, other than the fact that he could very well be the monster her parents told her he was. Naruto noticed their looks of shock and growled. Damn it, you two, he snarled as he walked up to them. Wipe those looks off your faces. This is what a ninja is, we are trained to kill. What? Did you think being a shinobi would be all fun and games? That you would never have to get your hands dirty? That you would never have to do any wet work? You two are more pathetic than I thought. Did you ever stop to wonder why the targets at the academy were shaped like humans? Or why the areas where vital organs would be were circled and pointed out? Moreover, if it still has not gotten through your thick skulls, every famous ninja in history has gotten their titles by killing more people than others. Even the Yondaime got his nickname by killing hundreds of Iwanin in the last Great War. Do you think Hatake got his title of copycat ninja by just copying enemy techniques? No, he got it by copying them and turning the techniques against his enemies, and killing them. That's how legends are made. The survivors of the attacks tell others of the carnage they witnessed, and that ninja's fame spreads. He took two small blue books out of his jacket. These are copies of the most recent bingo book. Read it all the way through, read about what some of the shinobi have done to get themselves into this book. Then you will understand what a ninja really is. And if you don't, then you might as well quit while you still have a head. With his speech over Naruto brushed by both shocked genin. Kakashi held a look of sadness in his eye as he watched Naruto walk away. But he knew what he said was completely true. They should really start teaching that in the academy, then the genin mortality rate wouldn't be so damn high. After about 5 minutes of walking, the group stopped again. Naruto turned to Tazuna. Alright, Tazuna-san, the demon brothers were after you for a reason. What is that reason? Naruto asked, but from him it was more of a demand. Kakashi was shocked to know that Naruto knew who they were but quickly remembered that Naruto probably had remembered their faces from the bingo book he had in his possession. Tazuna gulped and tried to play dumb. I don't know what you're talking Abu Dash, he was saying until Naruto then pulled out Reaper and fired a round that scratched his cheek, making the old man freeze in fear. Don't fuck with me, old man. Those two were highly trained assassins in the shinobi arts and were the apprentices of Momochi Zabuza. They know the silent kill technique as they demonstrated with the puddle, and could have just as easily killed you if those two morons, Flat Chest and Needle Dick, were the leaders of this group. They do not perform a kill for fun, only if the pay is good will they perform the silent kill, so there is a puppet master and I want to know who is pulling the strings. And in case you want to try and lie. He said, firing off 3 rounds. 2 sailed past his neck and 1 sailed under the package, if you know what I mean. Don't think I would miss again intentionally. Naruto said with a very serious look on his face, with his finger threatening to pull the trigger. The others were too stunned to even move right now, and Tazuna was contemplating on what he should do. On one hand, he could tell the boy what he wanted to know and maybe the boy would stay on the mission, but if he chose not to, he would either die or lose his partner in crime. Actually, it wasn't that bad of a situation to tell them that if you think about it. Tazuna gulped before he sighed heavily. You are correct, they are after me. As you may know, Wave is a super poor country, but it was not always like that. Wave was once a prosperous place, full of happy people. Then Gato came with his army of mercenaries. We have no ninja village, so we had no way to defend ourselves from them and they took over. I knew Gato had sent some of his mercs after me, but I didn't know they were ninja, honest. Kakashi sighed. You do realize that this is now an A-class mission, if what Naruto said is true. Yes, I know, but I couldn't pay for an A-class, or even a B-class mission. I beg of you, please continue the mission. After I finish the bridge, Wave will be able to trade again and everything will be back to normal. I can pay you properly for an A-class mission, even give you all a bonus. But please, if not for me, then do it for the people in my country. Tazuna was on his knees now. Kakashi sighed. It's not my decision alone, he looked back at Sakura and Sasuke. It's a team decision. Naruto scoffed. Come on, Hatake-sensei, if the kiddies want to go, then let them. But I'm staying, whether you like it or not. Kakashi narrowed his eye at Naruto. And why do you care so much? First off, Kakashi, I would much rather help the man out, seeing as how he's on his knees begging for our help. Second, I got more money in the bank than this little C or A rank mission could give, so I don't give a rat's ass about the money. Thirdly, he obviously had to go to great lengths to save his land from this tyrant of his, so he had a reason to lie. Lastly, Naruto then looked at his hands and saw a faint trace of energy flying of his hand. There is something about this place that gets me excited. Like a challenge that is just waiting to happen the moment I step foot in the place. So regardless if those two don't want to go, I'm still going. They can try to mark me as a nuke ninja all they want, because the most they could mark me with is a D rank nuke. Mean status must be returned unharmed to the village. Under absolutely no circumstances must he be harmed, or else the person bringing him in will be charging with an assault felony and must face 2 years in prison. In addition, seeing as how the old man is on my side, I could not possibly face anything more than that. So they can go back with their tails between their legs like they always do. Naruto said, knowing that he hit a very sensitive spot. Kakashi shook his head and sighed. Just like Itachi, he thought, then turned to his other two students. So, what will you do? Will you stay, or do you want to turn back? Sasuke growled, if this dope thinks he going to get ahead of me, he has another thing coming. I'm staying. Sakura however was a different. Kakashi-sensei, we can't go. No matter how tough Naruto tries to sound or how brave Sasuke-kun is, we are all inexperienced. We need to go back and let someone of higher rank do this, not us. Sakura was saying until Naruto gave her a look that truly scared her. It was the look of stone-cold warrior. Preparing to fight an army of demons, with eyes that spoke one word to her. Pathetic. I knew you were useless, just like your whole clan. Naruto said, making the girl look ready to cry. And don't think that I give a shit about your crying, you weak and useless excuse for a ninja. Naruto was saying with the girl showing tears that were beginning to form. Naruto, stop it right now, that was much too uncalled for. Kakashi said, even though he did agree with Naruto on all of it. Sakura was the only member of the new set of rookies to not be a part of a shinobi clan. Naruto was a huge exception, not being in a clan, but it was due to certain circumstances that caused him to be an orphan. Who cares if it's uncalled for? She needs to learn where her place is in life, and that she would have to change herself if she wants to be a real ninja. All she is doing is proving that she is a worthless person and kunoichi. She is pathetic and worthless, yet you allow her to try to think that she is on my level? The difference between us is that I can do something about my problems, but she can't do shit for herself in the village, other than being a decoy or a lamb to sacrifice to the wolves. Naruto sounding very pissed off, and felt that this would finally make the girl get the picture that she was useless, and would have to change herself to prove that she was not. That however was stopped when the girl fully broke into tears and Kakashi was now in his face glaring daggers into his eyes. Naruto, you're crossing the line. I am the leader here and you will follow my orders. He said before Naruto glared him to and began to leak killing intent. Kakashi was surprised at first but that didn't stop him from responding with his own. Listen well Kakashi because I'm not going to repeat myself. I don't care if you're fucking Kami with the Shinigami and his legion of demons by his side. You may be a Jounin but I am still stronger than both of these weaklings here. I have to be the one to pick up the slack that they can't carry. I have to be the one to save their sorry asses when the world finally stops shitting on them. If you want to hold their little hands in the battlefield then that's fine, but what I will be doing is fighting alongside the other warriors that the village needs to protect it. Naruto said with Kakashi stepping back but their glares were still headed. Let's go. Was all Naruto said as he walked away with the group in tow, while Kakashi was carrying a still distraught Sakura. The group was now walking for a full 20 minutes, with 5 going to traveling across the lake to get to the soils of Wave Country. However, it was during this walk did Naruto sense something or someone was watching them. Kit, you're not wrong, as I sense it too. Be very cautious about this opponent as I sense a lot of killing intent aimed at the old man. Kyuubi said with Naruto nodding, as he saw Sasuke fling a kunai at a branch only to reveal it to be a snow-white bunny. Something a weakling like Sakura would pass off as nothing but a true shinobi like Kakashi and those with sense like himself and Sasuke knew otherwise. Naruto then began to make hand signs to Kakashi, who responded with his own. The rabbit's coat was white when it should be brown. Yes, plus it's native to this land as that type of rabbit is only seen in mist. How do you think it got there? I would say the enemy used a substitution to replace himself with the rabbit so we would all fall for his trap. Should we engage him now? Yes, as soon as he makes his move. As soon as they were finished, Naruto saw the bunny hop away and began to walk forward, before puling out Bloodfang. The boy then turned on his left heel and off one of its high-powered rounds at the tree. He knew the enemy was. The bullet hit the tree and set it on fire, before a huge sword flew out of the flames and headed directly for them. Get down, was all Kakashi yelled, as he pulled down both Tazuna and Sakura. Everyone then felt the large blade fly over their downed bodies and embedded itself into a tree, with a figure standing on the handle of the sword. It was a tall man with bandages wrapped around the lower half of his face. His forehead protector was off to the side of his head and he had no eyebrows. He wore 2 forearm warmers with a cameo pattern on them, and he wore baggy pants with the same pattern, and black ninja sandals. Momochi Zabuza. A-class nuke nin from Kirigakure. One of the legendary 7 swordsmen of the mist. It is an honor to meet a killer of your caliber. Naruto said, staring intently at the tall swordsman. Zabuza chuckled evilly. So, one of the brats knows me, eh? I see you have trained them well, copycat ninja Hatake Kakashi. Kakashi was about to say something, but Naruto cut him off with a scoff. He has taught us absolutely nothing. But he and the others are irrelevant right now. Get down here and let's fight. Naruto said as he brought forth his sword Yamato and unsheathed the sword and held it in his right hand and placed the sheath on his hip. The two charged each other, their swords hitting the others hard, and their feet creating foot impressions in the earth beneath them. Zabuza swung horizontally while Naruto blocked, groaning as his body was smaller than Zabuza's, which had more muscle on it than his 12-year-old body did, and pushed the Jounin level missing nin back with great difficulty. This time, it was Naruto's turn to attack, as he charged forward spinning his blade as he went before he unleashed a diagonal swing to Zabuza, and the taller man jumped out of the way while a tree behind him collapsed from being the one sliced in two. He's good. That sword is different too. It is not like Kisame's sword or the other 7 swordsmen with their blades having their own unique powers. No. This sword that's in the kid's hands has a more natural feeling, or at least done in a more refined way, than the others, and if I didn't know any better I would say I felt something else in it, thought a curious Zabuza, wondering what his observing subordinate's thoughts were of this matter. I see you're curious about my sword. Allow me to introduce to you Yamato, one of the prized swords from my clan. Naruto said before sent a diagonal slash towards Zabuza, and a blast in the shape of a moon flew at Zabuza, who luckily jumped out of the way. Naruto then resheathed Yamato and called out summon swords. Bringing the transparent ghost swords back, Naruto sent 4 at Zabuza and kept 2 with him. Zabuza blocked all the swords with his own sword and knocked them away, only to be hit by 2 more in his right shoulder and left abdomen. He grunted through the pain and began to make hand signs. "You won't beat me. I can still fight," Zabuza said, producing his hand signs faster. Naruto saw this and began to form his own seals with his left hand before waiting for Zabuza to finish his. Water release, Water Dragon Jutsu, Lightning release, Lightning Dragon. They both yelled at the same time. Behind Zabuza, an huge plume of water formed the shape of a dragon and looked prepared to attack, while above Naruto lightning came down but in the form of a dragon. Both men then sent their attacks towards each other, but Zabuza forgot that in nature, lightning is stronger than water. Indeed, that was what happened. As the lightning dragon tore through the water dragon and exploded right in front of him, he was sent flying through the air and landed right beneath a tree, coughing up blood in the process. He looked up and saw Naruto walking towards him with his sword still on his hip. His eyes looked like that of a true warrior's eye. The boy then held up his right arm and began to form a Rasengan while he spoke. "Momochi Zabuza, I have seen your will to fight and desire to live. For that one fact alone, I will give you the death only a warrior of your caliber deserves and only hit you in a place where you shall die on your own." Naruto, Rasengan fully formed in his hand, and poised to end Zabuza's life. Before he could perform that action, a pair of Senbon flew through the air and pierced the man's neck. "Thank you for defeating Momochi Zabuza so easily for me. It gave me the chance to take him down myself while he was distracted with you," said the now appeared masked shinobi-clothed individual, who, if from what Naruto learned, was a hunter ninja with the mask worn signifying that status. "No problem, but I have a question for you before you do take the big guy away," said Naruto, his eyes narrowing at this hunter nin, who seemed to stiffen slightly at the possible question. "Yes," said the hunter nin, now having the dead body on his shoulders. "Why aren't you disposing of the body right now?" said Naruto, his pupils becoming slits, and he heard the hunter nin's heartbeat increasing at the question. "Until we meet again, Leaf Shinobi," said the fake hunter nin before disappearing, with Zabuza deciding that even though the rescue had been botched, it was only at the last second in terms of false identity. "Indeed," said Naruto before allowing Yamato to disappear into his arm. It then that his teammates arrived to the scene, only to find him standing there waiting for their arrival. After saying a few things towards each other, the group walked off to Tazuna's house. Things were bound to get interesting further down the path they were on. Chapter 10, Rest and Relaxation. "Damn it, Haku. Did you have to hit me in the neck like that? It hurts like hell before and after the needles make contact," said Zabuza, pulling the last needle out of his neck and angry as hell had demons. "It was the only way, Zabuza-sama. It wouldn't have been as effective had I hit anywhere else," said Haku, removing her mask, revealing a beautiful young girl with long black hair with a face one would think was so innocent you wouldn't think twice as to believe she was some missing nin's subordinate. That was one of the reasons why Zabuza knew she would be so deadly when he took her from Mist and made her into his apprentice in the shinobi arts. "You're soft yet ruthless at the same time, Haku. I can almost pity the poor boy you wrap around your fingers to become your boyfriend," said Zabuza, letting out a chuckle before he gurgled a little and spit out some blood once he peeled off the bandages. "Only thanks to your training, Zabuza-sama," said Haku, while keeping the thought of having a boyfriend while an open possibility one day was something to be saved for a later date. 2 days had passed since the battle against Zabuza. Team 7 had made it to Tazuna's house that same day, where Kakashi told them that they would have the next 2 days to themselves while he looked over the situation. Sasuke had spent the time brooding while Sakura spent her time fawning over Sasuke. In an effort to avoid both his teammates and Tazuna's emo grandson, Naruto had spent the entire week away from the house, leaving a few clones stationed around the place. The week had been extremely fruitful for the blonde as he dedicated it to training. All week he'd had clones working on chakra control exercises, his devil arms, and how to charge his guns with his chakra. He had been hard at work on developing a new skill with his guns called gun kata, which allowed him to fight hand-to-hand combat with his guns. He was also trying to find a way to transfer the power of serenity into his guns to make them far more dangerous and lethal than they already were. Okay, let's see. I would first have to focus serenity solely into the gun, then fire off multiple rounds. Shouldn't be too hard. He thought as he began to focus his energy into Angel and Reaper, watching them glow a bright silver before he pulled the trigger. He felt the force the gunshot with him being pushed back a little, but he kept firing till he saw the glow leave the gun. He then saw the tree he fired at actually fell over, due to the force of the guns. He was truly shocked that the weapons had that type of power and was also happy that he had that type of power in his hand. He has been working hard on that move for a while, and he was sure with a little more training he could do that at will and probably charge the guns faster. He put his guns away and walked back to the house, seeing as how he was pretty tired from the training he had undergone, and returned to the house to find his teammates and sensei all sitting at the table and seemingly enjoying a cup of tea. "Yo, Naruto, good thing you're here. I wish to go over something that just came up in this mission," Kakashi said with Naruto shrugging his shoulders and sat down, with Tsunami placing a cup of tea in front of him, and he himself thanking the woman before drinking it. "Okay, Team 7. I recently came up with some disturbing news about what happened. It appears that Zabuza is still alive," he said with Sasuke and Sakura looking shocked besides Naruto, who looked as if he already knew. Kakashi saw this and asked Naruto, "How come you're not surprised?" "I already knew that Zabuza was still alive, due to the method that the hunter ninja used," he said with Sasuke looking at him. "Please dope, like you actually know how he's still alive." "Actually, Sasuke, he's right," Kakashi said with the other two looking towards their sensei in disbelief. He then went into explanation of what a hunter ninja is and what they do. He explained to them what the death state was and how it is used to help bring their targets back to the village they are wanted in. He also talked of how the method the hunter used it was an actual diversion, so that way they would be fooled into thinking the man was dead when in fact he was still alive. To say the least, Sasuke and Sakura were shocked while Naruto just sipped more of his tea. "I take it that since Zabuza still lives there will be training involved?" Naruto asked with Kakashi nodding. Naruto yawned into his hand before he got up from his seat. "Very well then. I'm going to go have a meeting between my eyes and eyelids," Naruto said as he walked up to his room and fell into a deep sleep. Naruto was now standing with his teammates in front of 3 trees, but he already knew what was going on. The kiddies were about to do the tree walking exercise, something that Anko already taught him. It simply involved you focusing your chakra to your feet and trying to climb to the highest point of the tree as you can. The only twist that you had to use your feet. Only Naruto didn't feel like doing this at all, so he simply stood there to see Kakashi stand before them all. "Okay, team, due to the injuries Zabuza sustained, he is bound to be bedridden for the next 1 or 2 weeks. So during this time you all are going to learn how to climb trees," Kakashi said with Sasuke and Sakura looking confused. How could climbing trees help them get stronger when they already knew how to climb trees? "But Kakashi-sensei, we already know how to climb trees. How is that supposed to help us?" Sakura asked with Naruto sighing, getting everyone's attention. Naruto sighed. "You really shouldn't have called it climbing trees." He turned to the nearest tree and walked to it, then walked straight up to the top branch, then hung upside down. "Its proper name at tree walking." He unstuck himself and landed on the ground without a sound. Kakashi looked at Naruto. "Very good, Naruto. Do you know how to walk on water?" He was cut off by Naruto. "Yes, I can fight on top of water." Kakashi sighed. "Okay, just how many exercises do you know?" "I know surface clinging, water walking, kunai and senbon balancing. I know 2 more exercises that I am not willing to tell, and I'm currently working on waterfall running." Kakashi's jaw damn near dropped. Even he had trouble with senbon balancing, and he'd only heard of a few people running up waterfalls. "Oh, I see. I guess you can go do whatever it is you do, Naruto," he said with the boy nodding, and simply sat on one of the stumps in the area with his arms crossed. Kakashi then turned his attention to his other 2 students, who were too busy looking at Naruto to notice that he was looking at them, but they then turned their heads back to Kakashi, who sighed before he spoke. "The key to this exercise is to focus just the right amount of chakra into the bottom of your feet, then use it to stick to the surface. Too little chakra and you'll fall, too much and you'll blow yourself off of the tree. Use these kunai to mark your maximum height. Kakashi then sat on a stump and pulled out his porn. This earned him death glares from Sakura. Sasuke and Sakura picked up their kunai and both ran at their designated trees. Sasuke planted his foot into the tree, splintering the wood, and ran up the tree trunk. But he only made it about 5 feet before he had to jump off. Kakashi didn't even look up from his book. You didn't use enough chakra, Sasuke. Sasuke growled and was about to try again, but a voice from above stopped him. Look, Sasuke-kun, I did it. Sakura squealed happily while sitting on the top branch of her tree. Good job, Sakura. You have excellent chakra control. Kakashi smiled at her for that. That's only because her power reserves are so small, she doesn't have that much to control. So the only reason she could do this is because she's weak. Naruto said, there was no way in hell he was going to let some mediocre accomplishment go to the girl's head. Sakura nearly fell out of the tree. Shut up, Naruto. What the hell do you know? She screamed. I know that my chakra reserves are larger than you two little bitches in this clearing combined. I know that you come from a family that has no shinobi in its ranks, which is why your chakra levels are so low. I know that you have never truly trained. I know that you rely on your book smarts to get you through, and even then you aren't as smart as many. And I know that you will be a liability to this team in the future if you don't get your act together. And liabilities are to with. Naruto said coldly. Sakura was on the verge of tears now. She knew it was all true, but she just didn't want to accept it. Kakashi snapped his book shut and glared at Naruto. Naruto, that's enough. You have gone too far this time. Naruto glared at Kakashi. Stuff it, you pig-fucking Cyclopes. You should be the one telling her this, so I'm doing your job for you. I just don't sugarcoat anything, ever. I'm only telling her what she needs to hear, but doesn't want to. No, you're not. You're just wearing down her confidence. I wonder why though, maybe to build yours up? Kakashi smirked. Naruto snorted. Why would I need to build my confidence up? I'm stronger than them by far and can take you on for more than an hour, so my confidence doesn't need any boosting. Kakashi narrowed his eye. Then maybe it needs a reduction. And maybe you need to grow a set. I don't care what you three do, but all I know is that I'm out of here. Naruto said as he walked away from the group with Kakashi sighing before he looked over to Sakura to see that she was trying to hold back the tears but was failing horribly. He then turned to find Sasuke continuing the exercise that he had to learn, not even trying to see if the girl was okay. How could I get a team like this? We've been together for almost 6 months and yet they haven't formed not a single bond with each other yet. Asuma's team has the best teamwork of the 9 and Kurenai's team has the best balance of the 9, yet this team is the strongest but lacks all 3 credentials. How can I fix this, sensei? He thought before going over to the pink-haired girl to try to console her. Maybe this was the best way to do it. The white-haired boy walked through an open field of grass. The wind was strong here and the clouds were beginning to produce rain. He didn't mind the rain at all, in fact he loved it. There was something about it that made him just stop to watch it fall from the sky, putting him at peace for the moment. But at the time, he knew it wasn't important as he had to get some training done. He quickly crossed his fingers and brought forth a shadow clone before telling him to stand on the other side of the field. He then closed his eyes before opening them to reveal that they were red and silted. His body burst into flames before the flames left him and traveled towards the clone, surrounding his body in the fire. The flames continued to stay around him before they left, and all that was left a man with long red hair and 9 swishing tails behind his back. He wore plates of iron black, semi-iridescent armor with thin but intricate designs of vines and leaves on them. Where the armor didn't cover, a comfortable thick black material covered him. Kyuubi stared at the boy for a moment before he spoke. So kid, are you ready? He asked while taking a stance. Yep, on your call. Naruto said with the man nodding. Go, he said with Naruto nodding. The boy then summoned forth the chakra veil of Kyuubi with one tail forming and a second one soon after, but the third didn't come. It appears that you can handle 2 tails now. That shows great improvement, but you still have a lot to do before you can truly use my power," he said, with Naruto nodding before he took a stance as well. The white-haired boy quickly went on the offensive and did some quick seals before calling out fire release, fireball jutsu. The familiar technique flew to the knight, who held up his hand and blocked the flame before squeezing his hand. Naruto appeared before him, sending a forward jab to the man's face, which was blocked as well. The boy growled before sending out his clawed left hand at the man's face, but it was grabbed before he could even do any damage. "Don't warm up, Naruto, you need to be able to handle my power properly. I know what you are trying to do, so just fight me," Kyuubi said before heading-butting Naruto, then sending a knee to his gut. The boy coughed loudly before his body vanished, causing Kyuubi to turn around, only to be punched by the half-devil. The man placed his hands on the ground before pushing himself back to his feet. He immediately crossed his arms to block the chakra claw the boy sent. Naruto then utilized this small window and pulled himself to Kyuubi's location. He then made some one-handed seals before calling out fire release, fireball jutsu, and exhaling the plume of fire in the red-haired man's direction. Kyuubi knew he could block it again, as his arms were tethered by the chakra claw, so instead he slammed his foot on the ground. As he did that, a barrier of earth surrounded him and protected him from the flames. The white-haired boy let go of the knight and skidded along the ground while the earth barrier fell to reveal a smirking Kyuubi. "Earth release, ring of earth. Something that you should have seen coming," he said with a smirk on his face before it fell once he saw Naruto's "Oh, you mean like this?" he said as he vanished once more, causing Kyuubi's eyes to widen before turned around, only to see Naruto holding a sphere in his right hand. "Rasengan," he called out, sending it towards Kyuubi's head, only to be surprised when the red-haired man grabbed his extended right arm before crushing it in his palm. Naruto cried out when he felt the bones break, before he pulled his arm away from the fox demon. "Not bad, smartass, although you would want to try to completely catch me off guard," Kyuubi said before once more going on the offensive. Naruto sighed before taking up a stance. This would take a while. Naruto stood on the ground, with his hands on his knees and sweat dripping from the top of his skull. Kyuubi smirked at his vessel, knowing that the boy was doing far better than his expectations would be. Or perhaps he was just getting the full extent of his potential? Who knows at this point? He then walked up to the former blonde and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, his smirk wider than ever. "You've done well, my boy, but for now take a break. You need to rest up before tomorrow, as we will be kicking it to high gear," he said before he vanished into a puff of smoke and returned to the seal. "High gear? I thought that I was going through that today. Oh well, I need to get some sleep," he said. He didn't feel like returning to Tazuna's house, knowing that he would have to apologize to Sakura for what he said to her. He looked around before his eyes spotted a perfect spot for him to rest in under a tree, and in the blink of an eye, he was under the shade and out like a light. If only he knew what was in store for tomorrow.